All right, I am back, and I think it's fully operational. Not quite sure what that was. I apologize. Had a couple people in the other stream, which is kind of cool. We had a good conversation going, and then just completely shut out on me while I was painting. You know, that's not very fun. But we are back, and we're still working our same terrain. Sorry about that, guys. But, you know, stayed calm, stayed cool, drank my margarita, and pressed on, as one should. Not quite sure what that was, but, you know, it's alright. We shall press ever onwards and start working on this terrain. I was able to get some more grass tufts down on this crater, kind of make it look like, kind of more like the others. Not too bad, not too bad. I think we get a little bit more black paint in that, and then we'll move on to the next crater. So now that we got that one finished, we're gonna go ahead and try and get these other ones painted up and get them ready. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do the black part for both of these crater sets. Yeah, so, no, you're just on time. I had another stream, but I had some technical issues, so I had to reboot my whole stream. So, hey, yeah, Nathan's back. So, yeah, there was a couple people in the other one, but they just kind of died. Not sure at what point it died. There's like a delay on my side, you know? But I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, oh, let me take a look at everything. I was trying to figure it out. I figured it's easier just to reboot it. So, you know, damn the tech priest. So I just did a nice reboot. Unfortunately, people come over to the new stream. If not, that's totally okay too. Hopefully I provide them with at least 30 minutes worth of entertainment. So, I have a demo game next vid here in a couple weeks. I'm demoing some Conflict 47, so I'm trying to make sure I have a whole bunch of terrain ready. Because I feel for demo games, first impression is extremely important. And so I want as much painted terrain as I can on the tabletop. So I'm trying to finish up, you know, basically what you call almost more like scatter terrain. So I'm finishing up some craters. I got some astroturf mats cut out that I'm painting right now to be rice paddies. Trash bashing some fences for my farmland. You know, some nice little fences right here. And then after I finish these craters, I'll be showing you how I trash bash and build some Czech hedgehogs, some anti-tank obstacles, just using empty sprue that you have lying left around after you build some models. So right now we're doing craters. I like to paint the inside of my craters black. Yeah, it's exactly what it was. Turning it off and on again. I like to paint the inside black to kind of show like where the explosion was that kind of created the crater. And then from there I kind of put mud up on the top and then a little bit of burnt grass. So the black actually looks kind of wet, which is kind of cool because it gives kind of an old crater effect. Like you see that one over there. It kind of looks like it's rained a little bit. And it gives the impression that like troops have kind of scooped up mud from the bottom and put it up at the top to try and build like a little DFP. So the demo game is gonna be on the 25th of November, and it's gonna be at a comic shop in the center of Florida, up in Horse Country area of Ocala. I have some more details on my page, but I'll be there all day, so I'm pretty excited. So I'm doing that one on a Monday. And then the next event I'll probably do like on a Saturday or Sunday. That's the way I'm catching people who have days off during the week and people who have days off on the weekends, you know? Kind of want to catch all sides. I'm toying around with doing a small, not a tournament, but a small narrative event. So this is the idea I'm toying around with. Hey, what's going on, Matthew? I'm glad you could join, buddy. Sorry for the old the stream failing, having to start a new one. My bad, guys. But so the idea I'm toying around with in my head, depending how well this demo game goes, is doing an event for bolt action players. Bolt action event players in the state of Florida. We'll be doing a possible. So here's what I'm thinking, an alternate history. So this will be at the end of World War II. It's not Conflict 47. It'll be the end of World War II after VJ Day, so after Japan surrenders. And what it is it'll be a, this did not happen. I can't say that enough. This did not happen in history. But it'll be a attempted revolution in Russia after World War II. So what it'll be is it'll be SOE forces, American and British, with Heer, so German forces, and repatriated and remilitarized Imperial, or no longer Imperial, but remobilized Japanese forces trying to lead a revolution in Russia and reinstall a puppet czar. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I think it'll be kind of fun to do that in December, kind of a themed game, a themed event. So I'm just kind of toying around with that idea, tossing it around. I think it'd be kind of fun to do an alternate history thing, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so I put out a post on my YouTube with a site to the store and everything like that, and all the hours and things like that. So yeah, I'll probably post it here on the video here in a little bit. I'm pretty excited. Like I said, I know not a lot of people who watch the stream live in Florida, but if you do and you can make it out on the 25th, it'll definitely be a good time. And it'll be the first for the channel. Like I said, it'll be the first official showing. I guess I can only hide my face for so long, People will actually see me. I know, terrifying. So what I can say, as far as like looking for games of bolt action, looking for the events. So in Florida for bolt action, it's mostly an older crowd. Yeah, very much so. Yeah. So it'll be an alternate history that's never happened, but yeah, it'll be at the very end of the war. While everyone's messing around with the Berlin airdrop, the SOE kind of snuck behind enemy lines. They took some Germans and kind of snuck them around through China, which is kind of a no man's land right now. And they took a lot of Japanese, which this actually did happen in history. They did remilitarize Japanese forces and use them in, for lack of a better term, the Orient. So Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, to help patrol those areas because they were overthrowing their, French imperial forces. So that actually did happen in history. So it's kind of building upon that. So they're taking, captured Japanese soldiers, what normal loyalist German soldiers are left, and a whole bunch of special forces for the army and British, and kind of coming through Siberia to kind of sweep over and build a, white Russian revolution at the end of the war. Kind of a cool idea. I figured since Black Ops is really popular right now, and that kind of has like a Black Ops vibe to it, but with a little bit more World War II feeling. I feel it's kind of cool. It's an alternate history event. That way it doesn't really matter who wins, I think that'll be kind of cool to do like in December. The trick is to try and keep it as fun and apolitical as possible. Like there's no politics involved. It's not saying anything. It's just like, hey, what if this happened? You know. So the trick is to find someone who has enough Soviets to, to field. Because what I want to do is like, 1250 on 1250 or 1000 on 1000. The Russians get 1000 on their side, and the other side has like, the other side will have like smaller, like I said, the SOE, the Americans and British will be limited to like recon platoons, because again, it's like small forces, whereas the Russians can kind of take whatever the hell they want. The other guys may be limited on what they have, so I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a cool idea. We'll see. But like I said, before I start getting ahead of myself, let's see how the first event goes. Maybe I'm terrible at it. We shall see. I just because what I see in my area is a lot of events, and I've seen that the bolt action. There's nothing wrong with it, and not just like the whole 40k thing. Nothing wrong with competitive 40k if that's your bag. But what I see is there's a lot of tournaments, and I particularly don't like the tournaments that dropped down recently because they're low dice count, and I feel like kind of hosts me over. But I think I talked about that in an earlier stream. So I kind of want to do my part in helping the community, but instead of just saying, oh, the tournaments don't sound like fun, it's like, let me offer a healthy alternative. Let me offer more narrative, events. So you can go to a tournament, and then, hey, there's also a fun narrative event you can do as well. Kind of a little yin to the yang, as it were, Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna. So the idea for the event, I think I'm gonna call it Once Upon a December. Have you ever seen the old? Okay, it's not even Disney. I don't know who makes it. Probably DreamWorks. The old Anastasia movie. She sings that song Once Upon a December, singing about her family. Before they were taken out of the picture by the revolutionaries, to put it lightly. So I'm like, oh, this is kind of a cool idea, Because we'll follow that premise. Like, what if Anastasia is actually alive and she pops up after the war, or maybe it's not even the real Anastasia, but they're pretending like it is, just to kind of put her back in power. Kind of a fun idea, just something different. So we shall see. I'm just noticing everybody's getting like super, lack of a better technical term, balls deep in the tournament scene for bolt action, which I think is cool. More people playing bolt action, I think it's a good thing. But I kind of want to like also preserve like the fun, epic, terrain heavy, not like fair, equal terrain, but like absolutely unfair, unequal terrain, but realistic terrain events going, Like, I would just hate to see the only events that happen for bolt action be, like, Normandy or D-Day, but no one ever does anything else outside of that. I mean, those are still cool, but... What I'm doing now is I'm using what's left of my battle mire to kind of put a little bit of mud up on top of these craters to kind of show where like troops have tried to turn them into foxholes or DFPs, which is a bad idea, by the way. Never do that. Never turn an artillery or mortar crater into a fighting position, because generally the artillery or mortar is fixed and zeroed on that position, so you're just going to get hit again. Yeah, HS, you get it. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing I'm going for, That way, and also that way you can use some of the models that you may love but just aren't quote unquote competitive. You know, like maybe you want to bring a Tiger tank, or maybe you want to bring some like French Renault tanks, but they're just not quote unquote competitive, you know, or not meta. You can bring them to the event, you know, as long as it meets the event rules. Yeah, unfortunately, that can't be done everywhere. It just, unfortunately, um, sometimes it doesn't work. A lot of places will just get that guy or that girl that kind of like ruin that, you know? Some people really abuse it. What was the example? I think someone was talking about they had an escalation game, and someone showed up for their first like 500-point match with like one Chaos Knight. You're like, really? Yeah, Nathan's like, I think you're gonna have trouble doing that. So you're not wrong. So what it's gonna be is it's just gonna be someone else nailed it. It's very similar to like Man in High Castle kind of thing, you know, where it's like, hey, at the end of the war, who's to say, you know, the Allied forces didn't try one last, you know, special operations while everybody was distracted by the Berlin airlift. Which, if you think about it, the Berlin airlift was a logistical miracle, and that captured the whole world's attention. So everybody's watching the Berlin airlift. You know, who's to say a couple people didn't try and sneak in the back door and try and overthrow, you know, the USSR before it got as big as it did. Kind of a cool alternate history thing, but we'll see. So I'm also getting the idea from some of you may know. Hopefully I don't pronounce it. I want to say it's Castle Itter. Was it Itter? Battle at the very end of World War II. I want to say some SS hardcore people took some. They still had a lot of French government hostages in a chateau, and when they went up there to go bust them out, the Americans didn't have enough forces, so they just grabbed some loyalist Germans, some Herder guys, and they went up there with actual Wehrmacht, not SS, but they were fighting with Wehrmacht and Americans versus the SS who had French. Yeah, Castle Itter. Yeah. So that's kind of the idea where I got that idea. I'm like, okay, at the end of the war, let's grab some people and let's kind of like try and do this one last fail swoop, you know? So that's the idea that I'm thinking about doing in December. It'll be a, you know, small event, you know, depending if I get a good rapport with the store, if everything goes well with my little demo game on the 25th, I'll probably schedule that for middle December, you know, long before the holidays start. Or in case your relatives are in town, you got to get away from your in-laws and you're like, fuck, I need to go somewhere. You can come throw some dice. All right, you'll see the screen blink a little bit. Yeah, you can see my dirty hobby desk. There we go. See if I can get the chat. There it is. Cool, we got the chat back. All right. He's learning. He's learning. All right. So yeah, between Castle Itter, between that and the British using non-Japanese prisoners of war and not making them prisoner of war just to basically remilitarize them, they literally just swapped out their uniforms, gave them different weapons, and put them back as a military police force in Vietnam right after the war. It's very interesting. Like, we were helping train the Vietnam to overthrow the Imperial Japanese. You know, then once we beat the Imperial Japanese, like the Allied forces, then they started rebelling against the French, who still had Vietnam as a colony. Like, well, we can't have that, and so the UK is trying to keep the peace, so they just bring back the same Japanese soldiers who were just there, like a couple years ago. Yeah, so now you had Imperial Japanese soldiers with that style of discipline, the ones who weren't being on trial for war crimes, but with British officers and Allied logistics and equipment and firearms. Yeah, they were extraordinarily effective. Ooh, that sounds cool. So that kind of gives me a mix between like Battlefield Earth vibes, the book, not the movie, and Roadside Picnic vibes. If you ever read Roadside Picnic, if you like Russian style uh, fiction, that's a lot more depressing than normal. Roadside Picnic, that is what gave rise to Zona Alpha, Stalker, Metro. All that came from Roadside Picnic. So if you haven't read that sci-fi book, I think it's up there with the classics. I think Starship Troopers, The Forever War, Roadside Picnic, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? I mean, there's like a list of just good sci-fi staples that I highly recommend to people. Ender's Game, that's another good sci-fi. I don't know. I'd say good sci-fi, but clearly I lean towards military sci-fi. That's my preference. I think sci-fi really shines in a military sci-fi setting, but of course I'm biased as hell as I paint my military models, you know? The last recommendation on sci-fi I had, it wasn't bad. It got a little too Mary Sue-ish for my taste, but the science behind it was good, but the characters were not, in my opinion. Now, it's a controversial opinion. Hey, what's going up, Mad Larkin? Controversial opinion because a lot of people feel very strongly about this sci-fi series. They either love it or they don't. So it's very polarizing. But I did not like the Honorverse. I know. Those of you who know what that series is, it's kind of a spicy take, I guess. A lot of people love Honor Harrington. Yeah, so these are my craters. So I like to paint my craters as they were kind of made by a bomb or artillery round, but they're a couple days old and the rain kind of got to them and soldiers kind of got in there and schlepped some mud up to the top to try and make it like an impromptu fighting position. So that's how I'm trying to make, because I'm trying to make it more like a tropical crater, you know? So yeah, HS, that's what I'm working on. But yeah, as far as military sci-fi, I didn't really like the Honorverse that much, so a lot of people feel very strongly about that. A lot of people really love that series. I can understand why. It just was not my bag. I thought the main character got a little Mary Sue-ish for my taste. Not as bad as Ray, by the way. Not as bad as Ray, but pretty bad. Yeah, so I'm wondering, I didn't have enough, I should have checked my pot to see if I had enough of the Sterling Mud or Battle Mod before I got started. I don't think I'm going to have enough to work on all these craters, sadly. So I'm going to finish what I do have. The space combat and space design, that was all great. You know, some of the nations, and that was fine. It was the main character and the Mary Sue and the plot armor that just dug on my everlast nerve. And to be fair, if it was a Gary Stu, I'd feel just the same. Has nothing to do with the fact that it was a Mary Sue and not a Gary Stu. I don't like Gary Stews either. And look at that. I said Gary Stu without making a single Ultramarine joke. Look at me. I'm the perfect gentleman. I know a lot of people like the Ultramarines, so I'll try not to clown on them too much. I have no cat in that fight, you know, it's not really my my IP, so you know, like who you like. It's a little late for you, huh, Matt Larkin? What are you working on? You're working on the next great list. I know some people at that tournament you were talking about didn't want to face your awesome list. I think it's a good sign of good list building, but you know, I guess in time we shall see. So, and shorter for placing some of our NCOs and officers, which we built some of them. We just got to replace a few more in the list and build a couple more riflemen. We'll actually have this channel's 3rd edition bolt action army ready, my first one. It's not a good list. It's a very easy list. It's very walk into Starbucks and order a pumpkin spice latte. You know, that's very basic. It's just 60 veteran infantry broken up into 15-man squads, 2 platoon commander teams of 3 veterans with SMGs, and then 3 veteran lunge mines, and then 2 trucks with light machine guns on them. So, very simple list. Actually, only 1 truck has a machine gun on it. The other one I couldn't afford it. Ran out of points. But everybody's vets except for the truck. So, it's a very simple list, all infantry. Where the points went are the infantry. All the squads also have anti-tank grenades. It is a colossal waste of points because it's 2 points per model, but nothing is going to stop those infantry squads. Panzer, Tiger, Whirlwind, nothing's going to stop those. They will climb over anything. If it's open top, they'll delete it instantly. If it's not, they'll still get in there and chunk in those grenades. So my whole point is to almost just make them... no sniper, nope. Just two basic rifle platoons. You know, you have your command team, you have 1 for fire, 1 for maneuver, and then you have 3 anti-tank guys for support. So the way it'll break down is I'll have 4 squads moving up the tabletop. Both the platoon leader teams with SMGs will ride in a truck with one of the lunge mines. And then a lunge mine will be, the other 4 lunge mines will be pre-positioned because the infiltrator will be positioned ahead of time on the board, and they'll move up with the squads. So like I said, if they're dumb enough to shoot the lunge mines and waste their turns trying to kill them, that's fine. That's less rounds hitting my infantry squads. If they're smart and go for my infantry squads, then any tank they do have is going to get hit with that lunge mine. And if they forget about the lunge mines, they'll hide until late game, and then they'll run and either take an objective or contest an objective. And the trucks will move up on the sides, you know, it's typical Moto Surf style, with 3 veteran guys with SMGs and 1 guy with a lunge mine. So when the trucks move up on the sides, you know, what are you going to pay attention to? You know, when those guys hop out, you have some serious close combat. Or the truck gets knocked out, you know, then they start making their way on foot if they survive. Like I said, it's not pretty, it's not fancy, it's not going to win any awards, but it's nice to already have a 1250 point army ready, you know? Very simple, very basic. Your enemy's not going to be like, hey, what's that model do? Like, the guys with the pointy things make tanks go boom. The guys with the rifles make infantry go boom. That's it. And that's it. You know, super simple. So some of the other lists I'm working on, you guys have seen all the tanks I'm building as part of the channel. That's a list I'm working on, but I need I really do. I really do. Yeah, there needs to be a Bonnie and Clyde cause. You know, for just... one of the trucks will have a medium machine gun on it. Vehicle-borne machine guns aren't near as useful as they were in 2nd edition. At least not medium machine guns. So let that be my one. Because I've been doing some self-playing. I haven't played another person yet on 3rd edition. but I've been like working out 2 different armies on my own tabletop. One thing I'm discovering building lists and playing is don't sleep on heavy machine guns. So vehicle-borne machine guns took a nerf, they get half as many shots. But heavy machine guns got twice as many shots as last edition. So the math works out that heavy machine guns on vehicles are pretty legit. You're going to 10 points down every game? Are you doing that voluntarily, or if you don't mind me asking, why is that, Larkin? Which is why, with the heavy machine guns being so good, that's why I think the Type 92 Tankette still has a very good place in the Imperial Japanese lists for 3rd edition, because it has that whole amount of heavy machine gun. And that being said, the Imperial Japanese Army and Navy does not have a lot of access to heavy machine guns. We have our double-barreled 20mm anti-aircraft guns on trucks. Oh, not painted. Okay, I got you. They're the new, they're those new stormtroopers, right? Those airborne stormtroopers. So yeah, one of the more reliable ways to get heavy machine guns in an Imperial Japanese or Army list is the Type 92 Tankette. And the good thing about that is it can be hard to find a good tank to fill your tank commander spot. You can't take a Chiha as a tank commander because you have to swap it to a Shiki, which swaps out the howitzer. The turret howitzer becomes a turret medium machine gun, and the whole medium machine gun becomes a light AT gun. I don't like that. So if you're building a list like that, what I recommend for a lot of people is in your tank commander slot, take the Type 92 Tankette, because you have that heavy machine gun in the hull and that 360 medium machine gun in the turret, and you get 360. And then for your tank slots, that's where you just fill it out with Chihas. You know, that's where you pump in your regular Chihas. Oh yeah, no, you're exactly, yeah. And I plan on getting some of those 100% HS, yeah. You know I like my GLA style army, so I'm definitely going to need some of those. Larkin, you say that, buddy, but I've seen your models and they look fantastic. So I understand why you don't hobby fast, because you hobby well. Your models look damn good, brother. I've seen them. Yeah, the Type 94 AA trucks. Trying to use what last of this Strickland Battle Mire I have. They kind of build up some mud on this crater before I put it on the grass. Anytime, brother. Hey, you don't have to thank me for speaking the truth, buddy. Not to make you blush or anything like that, but I've seen them, man. They look great. So, yo, that being said, the second list I'm working on, so we did my all-infantry list with some trucks, very GLA style. So the second one's kind of memey. It's the Oops All Tanks. So it has 2 rifle platoons, and they each have, I want to say 3-man regular platoon leader team with SMGs. It has a Kippa political officer with an SMG. It has 2 5-man militia rifle teams, and then 3 lunge mines. So there's 2 of those rifle platoons, exact same concept. And then after that, you have my armor platoons. One armor platoon, the way they're set up is both of them have Shikis as commanders, and the rest have Chihas, and it comes out to about 8 tanks. Granted, they're all inexperienced, which is not good, but that's 8 tanks. 8 for the Imperial Japanese Army, 8 of what we call medium tanks. That's 8 armor. 8 plus armor tanks on that board. It is going to be absolute shenanigans. And so to build those models, I'm kind of excited. I'm going to be using the Partisan box from Wargame Atlantic. And then for the heads, I haven't decided yet if I'm going to order. I saw some, I think they're called Kaga houts that are, without sounding disrespectful, it's the stereotypical, what you would see someone like working in a rice paddy, like a rice farmer would wear, like the very conical shaped straw hat, you know, very common with the Viet Cong. So I'm looking for those types of heads. I found some Puppets of War, but I think they're 32 millimeter. I may try those, or I may pick up a box from Warlord Games of Imperial Japanese Musketeers or Spearmen and use those helmets. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do the heads yet, but it's going to be those very, those Kaga, those straw cone style hats on partisan bodies, and that's how I'm going to build my militias. Hey, Sean, thanks for jumping streams, buddy. Sorry the first stream fell apart, man. I have no idea what happened. I'm not a technical guy. Everything just kind of freezed. So instead of trying to like troubleshoot, I just did the quickest thing where I just rebooted everything. So I appreciate you finding this stream and rejoining again, man. That means a lot. Thanks. There we go. All right. So I think I gotta order some more of that. No, Meyer. All right. So here are our this set of craters. That's just the black kind of burnt part and kind of wet. We can see where the rainwater going. It's kind of muddy up at the top. Now I just gotta put on the burnt grass, and these ones will be done. Same here, man. Yeah, I work in a different time zone than I live, and I work night shift. So it's a night shift where I work at, but for me, it's a super late night shift. So and I work weekends too. So I like to try and do these when I get off work. At least on Friday. I do it on Saturday morning and Sunday morning. That way it doesn't conflict with any of the bigger channels doing hobby streams, and it's always that way. You always kind of have something to watch. You have Morty and Glory Monday through Friday, and then you have me on the weekends if you're so inclined. Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm thinking of, Matthew. Those Ashigaru, the helmets those guys come with. I think that's what I'm leaning towards. Yeah, when you showed me that box, I was like, oh, holy shit, that's exactly what I'm thinking. So your models look great, man. I think I may get that box and use those heads for my militiamen. Yeah, hey man, no stress, Sean. I said super love to have you in the chat watching the stream, man. It's I said I think this is your first one. It's a super laid back stream. I just kind of work on whatever I got going on, what I need to work on. We kind of just chat here, talk about random stuff, only about kind of chill things. We don't really get too heavy here about anything, and it's always here, or at least it tries to be, So I try and invoke the Toonami of what I remember as a kid. Where you kind of like tune in and there's something going on. The show's always kind of there for you. That's what I try and do, and a lot of people in the stream try and do. We all kind of chat with each other. It's kind of nice. I love it because it's my secret weapon to slay my gray. Like, for those of you who are in the Morning Glory channel, which I think is a good amount of you, I'm excited for Kriegsmiss. You guys have seen the tanks I've been building up on this channel, on these streams. And yeah, we're absolutely going to power through painting those things too. We're even going to paint them more than one color. I know, crazy talk. Could make me to Arkham. That is crazy talk to paint a tank more than one color, but we shall do it. It shall be done. So we're working on now just kind of gluing down some of the burnt grass around the rims to kind of make these look a little, give them more of that 3D texture. Yeah. Again, I think it's a similar community thing, Matthew. Same here. I've always worked night shifts. For my time in the military before I became a civilian, I just always preferred night shift. It's just different types of people around at night. You know, less brass, less busybodies, less kiss asses. It's really just there for people who want to work or people who don't want to work and just hide, which is fine because they don't bother me. As long as I can work. So yeah, the reason why these look kind of weird, I'm trying to go for a more swampy jungle style crater. So it's not just like a blown out crater like you would get on a European board or a Russian board. I'm trying to go for more of like, you know, as soon as you blow into it, that nasty brackish water kind of seeps in, you know? So, oh yeah. If you've ever done like jungle training or something like that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Just that nasty, almost like clay-like water where it's water, but it's brackish, but it dries on you like clay and you can't breathe. Your skin can't breathe through it. Oh god, it gets everywhere, down in your socks. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But on a fun side note, I've also, on some of my time off, I always try and do like, ooh, sorry, the light's super bright for that. Let me scale that down a little bit. I've been working on reading this awesome book. It's about the SNILFs, Special Naval Landing Force. Really good book. I'm enjoying it. I think it's written by a really young Canadian kid. I say kid because he was like 22 when he wrote it, I want to say. And he did a really good job collecting it. I think he spent some time in Japan, so he knows the language. But if you know anything about Imperial Japanese, it is extraordinarily hard to find real tactile doctrine information. A lot of that stuff disappeared after the war for good reason. So like TO&Es and you know, training manuals and stuff like that, those are so hard to find. If they are, you have to get them translated. And the people who want to translate them generally aren't always the best. So it's always good to find someone who really is interested in the topic and kind of dives into it. Super cool information about the, because I said, I've talked about two of my armies. The GLA style infantry base one I have with some trucks, the all tank force. I'll have the third army that's a combination of the two. You know, it's really like my normal serious army. And the fourth army I'm building is a special naval landing force army. So it'll have 2 swimming tanks, a mixture of rifle squads, heavy weapons platoon, so that'll bring some mortars, and it's gonna have kind of meaty, but it's gonna have I think it's 10. Yeah, it has 10 lunge mines, suicide anti-tank guys, 10 of them. So that's a lot, but the whole point is not to have to worry about tanks. But the fun part, in order to build the Special Naval Landing Force, so yes, Warlord does make a Special Naval Landing Force box, and it is gorgeous and it looks great. I'll probably pick one box up just to add some variation to my units. But what I'm going to use instead, because you guys know I like kit bashing, I like to make my models unique. So for the painting style, they're going to be blue. So they're going to have their blue uniforms. And actually, one of the boxes that looks the best for what I'm trying to do is actually the Wargame Atlantic's Russian infantry box from World War I. Because they have that very typical, almost like bedroll across the chest. There's several pictures of Special Naval Landing Force having that. Because what they would do is they'd pack a lot of stuff into that and kind of pack it loose. Because it'd be almost like a flotation device. So when if they fall off the landing boats or they hop off the tanks, they actually have this like bedroll around their chest that actually kind of float a little bit. So they kind of use those as like flotation devices, which is kind of cool. So I think that's kind of what I'll do for some of my Special Naval Landing Force. There's some other metal models and stuff like that I'm going to pick up to kind of make it more unique. But what interests me about the Russian infantry box for the Special Naval Landing Force is, a lot of people don't know this. You see me build my Imperial Japanese Army models where the officers have their family heirloom katanas and the NCOs have the issued Shingunto factory-made katanas. You know, not as nice, but just as lethal. The Imperial Japanese Navy, they did not. I say there's pictures that always refute this. So war's war. You know, when you're in the shit, you're gonna have whatever you have, right? But not all officers carried katanas in the Imperial Japanese Navy. Many officers in the Imperial Japanese Navy, because they took a lot of inspiration from the Royal Navy in the late 1800s to early 1900s, they all have traditional naval sabers. So that's kind of cool. So that's one thing that makes Imperial Japanese naval officers really stick out. You'll see them. Everybody else kind of has katanas, and they'll have these big ass fucking sabers on their side, which is really cool. So luckily, the Russian officer models in that box set from Wargame Atlantic, they have basically cavalry sabers. So I'm like, oh, this will be really cool for my Imperial naval and Japanese guys. Kind of a sucker for the details a little bit, I guess, you know? And it's nothing against Warlord Game models. I think they're great. I really, truly do. I buy a lot of models for Warlord Games. Sorry, I mix up the two names sometimes. I buy a lot of models from Warlord Games. I like their models. I think they do a good job. But, you know, if I can kit bash or kind of make my own and kind of mix it with their models, that's my preferred style. When I kit bash for bolt action, I try and use some Warlord Game bits. So even if that means like I was talking about with Matthew, where I pick up the Ashigaru like spearmen or musketeers, just to get those helmets. I see what you're saying, Matthew. I think you're a cool guy. I don't mind desert style stuff, and I don't mind humid jungle style stuff. See, where I draw my line for FTXs is I don't like the cold. I'm a completely different person in the cold. You put me in the cold, that's like kryptonite for me, man. I'm done. Especially if my feet ever get wet, I'm 100% done. Very early in my career, I volunteered for a training exercise up in Fort Drum at the end of winter. Yeah, the Catskill Mountains. Whoa. This young kid from South Texas was not ready for New York winter in the Catskill Mountains. Talk about zero fun. Absolutely hard pass. I get if it is old school, I appreciate that. I started back in 07 playing Battlefleet Gothic. That was my start. I say that, but that's not fair. As a kid, I played Hero Quest with my dad and my brothers, and I want to say one Christmas we got the Battlemaster set, and we used that for years and years and years. So I guess that was my first taste of tabletop wargaming, was the old Battlemaster set, if you know what I'm talking about, where you got the huge battle mat, the little castle, the cannon, the ogre, and all the other stuff. It took me it wasn't until like 5 years ago I realized that was a GW game. I was like, why do all those models look familiar? I'm like, oh, those are actual Warlord model or Warhammer models, huh? Yeah, so that's one thing I will always recommend. Um, I can't recommend it enough. Wargame Atlantics, man, those boxes are just made for kit bashing. For you guys, if you haven't seen, I'll show you. Here, so these models were kit bashed using World War I French and some German bits that I had from I think a Panzer Grenadier sprue that Warlord Games sent me, and the Afghan warriors. So using Afghan warriors for the bodies and for the heads, and then using some of the heads from the French, from the Singanese, and then using French rifles and swords and gear like that. I was able to literally equip out. So these are my cultists. So if you haven't seen these armies, these are my cultist Imhotep. These are my cultists. So it's my count as German army for Conflict 47. That way I don't have to paint like crooked. I don't have to use like crooked windmills or risk some Karen getting upset with me having Germans on the tabletop. You know, no midwinter drama here. So mine are all themed as Egyptian style cultist. So yeah, these are mixture of Afghan warrior bits. Oh no, a sword broke off. I gotta find a sword. It's not not just a spoon. I promise you, it's a blade, but his blade fell off. So yeah, these are, you can tell that's a French Lebel rifle, you know, and an Afghan warrior body. So yeah, I highly recommend using Wargame Atlantic boxes to help space out and to help your Warlord Games bolt action kits last a little bit longer, or to make them look a little bit more unique, especially for veterans, especially for like German veterans. Oh yeah. Yeah, I just feel weird when like people show up and they can tell instantly what your models are just by looking at them. Like, oh, I know what kit you use those from. Like, I've always enjoyed kind of making them a little bit my own. Like, if you ever seen my Warhammer 40k models, I'll bring them out. Maybe not this stream, maybe the next one, because they're kind of tucked in the back of my cabinet. I did Red Corsairs, and so I kit bashed the living hell out of those guys. I have to say, I think the Red Corsairs are a super fun faction. If you're ever gonna build some Chaos Space Marines, I mean, mine are more Renegade. I highly recommend the Red Corsairs because there's no rules, you know? I built it with just a 10-man tactical Marine box of Loyalists, and I turned them into, you know, Red Corsairs. You can get a box of Horus Heresy tactical Marines for a pretty cost-effective price and build a shit ton of Red Corsairs with them. They can either have Chaos weapons or Loyalist weapons. You know, they can be kind of whatever black and red paint scheme you want because they're pirates. They don't care. as long as you offer up your tithes to Huron Blackheart, you know, you can give a shit. Yeah, it's a really good proxy for that. I'm really excited for Wargame Atlantic Zombies. I think they're doing a really good idea with it. So before that, the best place to get zombies. Oh, so Games Workshop used to have a good zombie box. I'm talking their the old school fantasy battle zombie box came with a lot of really cool bits, a lot of cool weapons, a lot of cool hands and arms. It was a great box to keep around for kit bashing, right? They don't sell it anymore. So Mantic, Kings of War, they had a great zombie box. It says you get a lot of zombies, but what they don't tell you is a lot of those zombies are like torsos, like half in the ground, which again, nothing wrong with that. I'm actually might glue some into some of these craters, you know. There's nothing wrong with that. The downside is, you know, not really what you're looking for. You want people kind of standing. So I use the Mantic Kings of War zombie box to make my zombies. So now Wargame Atlantic, what makes their zombie box look so cool right now, it's just on pre-order, and again, I don't work for them, I'm just saying what I think's cool. They're including regular zombie bodies, which is fine, but they're including a whole bunch of different types of genres of heads. You have everything from like Roman style heads to medieval style heads, Renaissance, World War One, World War Two, kind of sci-fi style. So that way you can use these zombies as anything from poxwalkers to vampire counts to Totencore to, I mean, 3, 4, 5 different video game settings. They're really getting a lot of use out of that, which is phenomenal. I feel like Wargaming Atlantic is really helping keep wargaming accessible to a lot of people like me, who I think are too old, or I don't think I'm too old. I'm just way too lazy to learn something new. As you can tell, I'm trying to learn how to stream, and that's bad enough. But learning a 3D printer, which is funny because I actually use a 3D printer for one of my jobs, ironically. So like I know how to use it. I use it, and I don't want to use it for miniatures, if that makes sense. I'm just like, oh god, I just want to open up a box and build a kit and kitbash. I feel like if I'm able to make any part I want, I feel like it kind of takes the thrill away from kit bashing, where I'm like, oh wait, I think I have something for that, you know? If that makes sense. Yeah, I use, so one of my gigs involves unmanned systems. So we use a 3D printer to fabricate broken bits on drones. All right, we got some grass down here. All right, so here are these craters. Not too shabby, not too shabby. So let's see what the scale looks like. All right, that's not bad for a soldier kind of running through a crater. That kind of works. Let's test the tank. Again, this is just a quote-unquote medium tank by Imperial Japanese standards. Yeah, the craters still seem kind of decent sized. All right, I'll take it. So this guy, I think I ran out of mud for, so I'm gonna kind of put him on the back burner. But I now do have 4 finished craters. Let me move the tank out of the way. So we have this big set of craters. Here's this one, here's this one, and here is this one. So nice, we have 4 tropical style craters. That's perfect. That'll help take up a little bit more of the tabletop. So I think from here, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna grab some empty sprue that already have some models built from. I'm gonna show you how I trash bash, which is different than kit bashing. Trash bash is when you take things that you would normally throw away, or things that are super cheap or not part of the hobby, and you build some terrain out of it. A great example are my fences made out of coffee stirrers. Sorry about that. Yeah, so you can tell I took some coffee stirrers and some extra bases I had, and I'm kind of building some fences out of it. Coffee stirrers I got for, you know, if I didn't steal them from, what's that place called? Starbucks or whatever. You know, you can get them super cheap in a big ass packet. I shouldn't say cheap. You can get them super affordable in a big ass pack. So you can use them to build fences. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about, Sean. That one does look cool. One of the cool conversions I was talking to somebody about, speaking of Wargaming Atlantic, is somebody wanted to know how to build some cool rogue trader stuff. Like, they didn't want Imperial Armsmen necessarily, like Imperial Navy style for Warhammer 40k, like Battlefield Gothic style. They wanted more rogue trader style, like personal armsmen, like their own mercenary band. So the idea I thought about for them, so if you think about what a rogue trader is in the lore, you know, they have those, you know, basically they have those marks where they can get those contracts where they can kind of go out and do their thing, those letters. So what I thought would be really cool is, keeping with that nobility style image, is to get the Conquistador box from Wargaming Atlantic and then use that with some Imperial Guardsmen or some other stuff and kind of kit bash that way. So they'd have like those traditional, you know, cuirass style armor. They would have more of those, I forget the appropriate time, those Spanish style Conquistador helmets. You know, I think that would look really cool for a particular, like, rogue trader style naval armsman rather than Imperial Navy armsman. So, yeah, the kit bashing opportunities on that site are never ending. Sometimes it doesn't always go well. Earlier on this stream, we tried building here. The werewolves from Wargame Atlantic are actually relatively small. So you can see my little Anubis over helmets on them from Anvil Industries. Trying to make them look like Anubis warriors. I'm still going to go through with it. Doesn't look exactly how I wanted, but it's good enough for me. Alright, here's our tank. And let's grab some sprues so we can make our tank traps. I think you're right. I think you're exactly right. I think it is a Morian. I believe that is what it's called, actually. Thank you. The name escaped me the other day. Alright, so I grabbed a sprue. This is from my, from the She-Hulk kit to actually build the tank you see below you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be cutting out sprue in roughly equal lengths. And I'll have to try and get the sizing just right for what I want. And I'm going to cut out 3 of them. With this kind of stuff, this is fine. You just kind of trim it down a little bit. You don't have to get it perfect because you want it to look kind of rough. And you get 3 pieces of equal length, and you kind of make an X with another one running underneath, and it gives you a Czech Hedgehog anti-tank trap built just out of the sprues that you already have. The trick is to get the scale right. Yeah, I love Wargame Atlantic. I don't want to scare anybody else away because I think there's really good use for them. But for me, they worked out well because I wanted more use them for Anubis warriors in the Mummy movies. So they're more kind of like were-jackals and werewolves. So the size worked out for me, but for those who expect to be the same size as like Shrek Wolfen from Conflict 47, no, those things are massive. It's not the same scale, sadly. But there's nothing wrong with that. I just want to make people... I'm glad I bought it and I built it first so that at least those who watch my stream know ahead of time, like, hey, it's not going to be the best fit. Alright, so we have 3 built, right? Let me move these fences out of the way. Like I said, I keep my troops out here, so I keep my... let me back the tank a little bit so you guys can see. So I keep my regular troop and my heavy infantry troop out just for size comparisons. So I have a tank, a regular soldier, and a heavy infantry guy. So these are my 3 bits right here. You can tell they're roughly about equal length. Once I get them built and it's the right scale, I'll measure out another piece that's the same length, and that becomes my test one, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Because when you're doing this trash bashing, the first trick is to get it in scale. Once you get it in scale, you build templates. You never build their templates, you keep them safe just for measuring. So you can see the fencing over here. So here's the fencing, right? And those pieces are measured off to be in scale. And then here are my test templates. So the small piece is the post and the long ones are the horizontal parts. So, you know, I'll never build a fence with those template pieces, but I use them for measuring. That way they all kind of come out the same. So now let me clean up some of these, this little stuff on these bits of sprue right here. Once I get them roughly smooth looking, then we'll kind of glue them together, and then boom, we got a tank trap. Oh, it's great to hear, Matthew. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how that paint works out for you, man. I hear good things about it. Yeah, I can tell you this. When Larkin talks about paint, it is good to listen. I did not take Larkin's advice wholeheartedly about painting white armies or using white paint other than Citadel, and I paid for it for like a year until I finally broke down and got what he told me to, and it's a million times better. So I'm okay to admit when I'm wrong, and I was 100% wrong to not listen to Larkin for his paint recommendation. So what I do is I took this, I neatened up some of the bits with a simple hobby knife, right? And then I took my my bigger clippers, my like shittier pair, that I use for like big cutting, not for like fine cutting, and I cut off these little circle bits right here. I'm assuming that's where this sprue mold goes in. So I cut that off, and this just looks like a shitty piece of like surplus steel, right? Like a really shitty I-beam. So now we just kind of clean it up a little bit. Again, these do not have to look pretty because you have to remember these are built out of like whatever scrap metal that they could pour and form into a beam that they could. Alright, there you go. I cleaned it up a little. Oop, let me get that part right there. Alright, so now we have one beam. Yes, telling the story, Mad Larkin, about me not listening to you about white paint and me paying for it. Because my old world army is based on white and blue, so yeah, that hurt. Alright, so sorry, I forgot to mute it before I took that one clip. Alright, as you can tell, this looks really ugly because I kind of clipped those circular things off. Now we're going to clean it up with a hobby knife. Again, make it look like a piece of scrap kind of poured in and put into an I-beam. So what I love about this is if you mess it up, you fuck it up, if it's too big, too small, it looks crooked, who cares? All you wasted, granted it's valuable of course, but all you wasted was time. These just come from the sprue of shit you've already built. So you're not like, oh no, I ruined a very small, delicate thing I only have one of. Nah, you have tons of this. There you go. Now we have roughly 2 equal links. Kind of cut up and messed up a little bit. And then once we build the third, all we're going to do is we're going to kind of cross them like this. And then we're going to put one right here underneath. Kind of demonstrate, you'll see what it is once I finish this one. And unfortunately, I'll be building a bunch of these because once I build one, I'll move this stuff out of the way, and then I'll kind of show you the terrain piece that I'm working on. I think it's too big to fit on camera, or the way I have my camera set up. But I'll try and show you at least what I have going on. So I have two rather big pieces of terrain. I don't always cut mine out in like weird circles. Like I just use like big like wooden slabs kind of things, and I paint them and put a lot of like trees in there to kind of make like. I really want to take up a lot of the tabletop. I don't want it to be open terrain. You know, I want it to have a lot of jungle and tree line. I'll show you. Yeah, I've heard good things about Pro Acrylics, but I've also heard they could be a little difficult to use yet. So I don't use AK paint markers, but I'll tell you what I do use, Sean, is I do use Gunpla markers. Gunpla markers are not bad. The most recent thing I used them on, when I built my Panther X, I had my wife, she's better at freehanding than I am, you know, years of putting on eye makeup and shit. So I had her take a Gunpla marker and put on freehand hieroglyphics on my tank. So, Gunpla markers is what I recommend. If you want to put tally marks on the side of your aircraft, or, you know, draw in that little vertical line for officers or horizontal line for NCOs on the back of the helmets, you know, or an E for engineers. Yeah, using a Gunpla marker is the way to go. Alright, so now we have 3 equal pieces. Now to do a little dry thing to figure out how we kind of want this. So, what you're going to do is you're going to kind of make almost like a cross or an X, and then you'll put one piece kind of underneath. You can kind of see what I'm building a little bit. Let me turn my hands. There you go. So you can kind of see how it comes together like a check hedgehog. So you glue this together, and no matter how it sits, you know, it forms an anti-tank trap. And then you just spray primer this bad boy black, and then boom, there you are with an anti-tank obstacle. Now you can build 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these pretty quick out of some old sprue, glue them down on an old larger 60mm base, and then boom, you literally have like an anti-tank obstacle you can put on a road. So my first 40K models were built in a hotel room while I was on a temporary duty assignment. I happened to just swing by, pick up some push-fit cultists, and I think a small box of like regular Imperial Guard, like Cadian style models, and I had to use what I had in the hotel room to make like terrain for it. So thus began my love with trash bashing. So I remember using like I think like boxes that I got for food that I put on my mini fridge, and cutting out these sprues to make buildings and anti-tank traps and all sorts of stuff. Alright, so this is your first step. You build an X, and you just glue it. Don't worry about using too much glue. It kind of looks good because it looks like a weld. Don't worry about how cut up and big your pieces are. Sometimes some are thicker than others. As long as it's not too crazy, you'll be alright. You let that dry a little bit, and then you're going to slide the third one in underneath. Hey, what's going on, Paint Games? Yeah, so the first stream today failed. It went for about 30 minutes, and then I don't know what happened. The stream just completely tanked, so I had to restart the stream, so that's why I jokingly called it 0.5. But, hey, Paint Games, how's it going? You've been playing some 40K lately? I think you had some games set up. I think you played once your Necrons, but I think you're ready to play as a different faction. So I'm actually thinking I made that tank trap a little too small. Scale-wise, I'm not sure. I'll probably still keep it, but yeah, I think it's a little too small, which is fine. So when I make my next piece for my template, I'm going to make it a little bit longer than that one, and we'll be good. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a good time to bust out the nids. Nice, man. Yeah, so right now, we finished our craters, and now we're just trash bashing some anti-tank traps. I think I built this one just a little too small. Yeah, I think that one's a little too small, so we'll build the next one's a little bit bigger. So I can either keep that one or throw it away. It's not a big deal because it only came out of a sprue that I've already had. I'm ready to put the model from, so, you know, no real loss to me. Treasure bashing, that's hilarious. Funny name, funny name. Alright, let me cut out these pieces. See if I can build one of these just a little bit bigger. So yeah, as you can tell, this piece I cut out's a little bit too long. You can see how long the first one was versus how long the second one is. So I'll cut this one down to scale. So that's when you're doing trash bashing. Yeah, I am measuring them in my own weird way. Not like how many millimeters, I'm just kind of eyeballing it. But yeah, once I cut one to template, that's what I'll say. That's how I do my measuring paint games. I make one template once I kind of build the scale to how I want, and that's what I'll always use. I don't build with my template piece, I use it just for measuring. Oh, sorry about that. I always forget I keep muting it. So now we actually have our template piece. So we'll put a T on it, just like our wood ones for our fences. This one will never be used to build any of the tank traps. It'll just be used to measure the 3 pieces that go into building it. We built our first one just as a proof of concept, see how it works, see how to position everything. It's been a while since I built these. And this one we made it a little bit too small. You can tell, compared to the Imperial Japanese troop, and even the tanks, and Imperial Japanese tanks are a little bit smaller. That's just too small of a tank trap. It's not bad, but yeah, I could do better. So now we have one just a little bit longer. So you build your first one. It's either too small or too big. Like here was my first fence. It was way too big, so you kind of scale to fit on what you're working with. You're correct. They are never uniform length. Yeah, you kind of just weld whatever the F you have. So like I said, yeah, I'll probably still keep the too small one. You know, I'm probably gonna keep that and hide it amongst like 3 or 4 or 5 other ones where you can't really tell. You know, but I'm trying to get it to where like the scale is right. But yeah, that's the best part about using the sprue. So you can tell right here, I cut off like a corner piece of this sprue. And so I literally just kind of like trimmed it off and kind of straightened it up a little bit. And just went with it. So when you're cutting these sprues off, don't worry about if it's perfectly straight or if you have these little like knots. Just kind of cut the knots down and glue it. The more disheveled it looks, the better it looks. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Kind of like the landing style pole ones, because when a lot of people see those, like everyone's like, "Oh, those were meant to tear off the bottom of the landing boats." Yes, they were, but they also all had anti-tank mines on the end of them too. You know, smack right into the boats, hoping the boats would come in a high tide and not see them. You know, but yeah, that's a really good idea, Madlark, and I may do that. Good call, brother. Oh, okay. I think we're thinking of 2 separate things. I'm trying to think about what you're mentioning and see if I can remember in my head. All right, there's 2 pieces. We still have our template piece. Oh, that's a good call. Yeah, I'll have to add those back in there. I took them down to make room for the Hollywood stream. Halloween stream. Jesus. I'll have to put them back up. Thanks for mentioning that, Paint Games. Yeah, I'll put all the other little Metal Gear Slug. So it's so funny. I did that, and then just recently a Metal Slug game came out. You know, there's a new Metal Slug tactics game. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't played it, but yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm tracking what you're talking about now, Larkin. Yep. I got you. Hardly. I am extremely far from a movie star. 100% not on my list of things to be. Alright, let me hide my template piece so I don't accidentally build with it. Alright, now we have 3 equal pieces. A little bit bigger than the other tank trap. So like I said, we can keep scaling them up till we get a size that we like as far as in reference to our models. So we just take these up and just start cleaning them up. So for these little knots, I just kind of hit it with one of my more terrible beat up pair of clippers, and I go in and just clean it up with a hobby knife. I'll show you. And then I'll just go back in and file and cut that down with a hobby knife. Just try and make it fast and easy. Nothing too special. And look, boom, it's gone. So like I made some cuts into it, and that little spur, not whatever you call it, is gone. I can tell you, Mad Larkin, that is 100% not the reason. So, unfortunately, I can no longer hide behind my anonymity because I don't think I can have a Tiki mask shipped to me in time. I've joked around about having an actual stream where you can see my face, but just wearing a ginormous, like, fuck off Tiki mask kind of thing. But I can't get one into me in time because I'm hosting a demo game here in Florida in Ocala, up in horse country actually. So I'll actually be there face to face, you know, in person. So anyone who watches the stream who's in Florida and goes to that will actually see what I look like and be severely disappointed. I am well past my prime. But yeah, if I were to go to like Adepticon or like a huge event, you know, like if I fly over for one of Mordine's events, I will definitely bring a giant, I'm talking like Crash Bandicoot style, like Tiki mask, and just wear it the whole time. I don't care how heavy it is. But yeah, so I'm doing my first face-to-face event. I'll be doing demo games and overnight it. God, don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. I think I have some, like, I think I have a smaller Tiki mask that I'll bring with me just in case there's pictures. And I'll just, like, slide on my mask real quick. Keep the mystery alive. But no, for, like, big events, I'll definitely get, like, a ginormous Tiki mask and wear it. I think it'd be hilarious. And I'm up to up to about 2.5 hours of background tracks. So not quite enough to have a full thing ready for one of these 4-hour streams. Almost. Hope it'll be ready by next stream. I can't make any promises because I do work tomorrow, but I'll be working on it in the background. So hopefully I can have my own music tracks in the background. They're fun to make. If you never use Suno AI, it's a lot of fun. It's kind of fun naming all the tracks too. So that'll be kind of cool. I just feel bad having to like borrow other people's music and to credit them, you know. I'd like to just kind of have my own. All right. Now we have our 3 pieces. Let me file down these numbers real quick. Just like you do on any good Soviet block small arm. You gotta file off the numbers. For legal purposes, that was a joke. Please do not file any numbers off anything that's classified as a firearm. Yeah, Mad Larkin, I saw your message. I think there's a guy on Etsy who makes these big giant. They're not even tiki masks. I feel like they're more like maybe like Mayan. I don't want to say Aztec. I think they're more like Mayan style masks, but I think I'm gonna get one of those made. Yeah, no, I saw you one. So there's this big rubber one I have that I think I'm gonna use. It kind of just looks like a painted log. I think I'm just gonna use that. So Mad Larkin's actually made some really good AI songs as well, painting games. It's one of those things where it has to be you have to carefully curate it, you know, but you can actually have a lot of fun with them. I can say just doing background tracks with no lyrics is a lot easier using the AI. But it's all about how you input stuff and what you're requesting and how you work the algorithm. Depends on what you kind of get put out. That's exactly what it is. Like, tune in for the Tiki face reveal, and it's just I'm talking like a giant, like, you know what I mean, like Scooby-Doo villain size, like big fuck off Tiki mask, like hooga booga hooga booga. Like do like a little Tiki dance, it'd be phenomenal. Yeah, I know what you mean, painting games, but there's only so many things you can kind of make by hands. You know, like I make my own beef jerky. You know, I reload some of my own shotgun shells. I'm not about to sit and like compose my own song with 4 or 5 different instruments that I can't play. And I've tried doing Fiverr to pay actual musicians. Sometimes it works out well, sometimes it turns out shit. So I'm like, well, if it's gonna turn out shit anyways, I might as well just do an AI program. Uh, yeah. Sore topic for me, Sean. I got a lot of things that 100% were not war trophies. I got a lot of things commandeered coming back. I lost a lot of fun stuff. All right, let's get these glued up and see how it looks in scale. Damn it, Mad Larkin! Now you got me going down a rabbit hole looking for giant Tiki masks. I think there's a guy on Etsy I'm going to use for my big giant wooden one. So, controversial opinion without getting political about it. Again, absolutely apolitical, no politics. But one thing I miss about 2020 was I miss wearing a mask all the time. Like, there were a lot of funny masks. I like anonymity. I like, you know, wearing a mask doesn't bother me. So I kind of miss the idea of like publicly being able to wear a mask and it's not a big deal. Nowadays, if I go in wearing like a Tiki mask, people are like, what the fuck's wrong with you, weirdo? You know, back in the day, I could walk around in like a half mask and sunglasses like the fucking Unabomber and no one gave a shit. It was phenomenal. I miss the anonymity and the social distancing. Yeah, that's exactly what I use it for. Yeah, it's just to make things a little bit better. Because I'll say, so a good example is some of the music I'm working on. It's all like background Tiki music, but a lot of it also has some unique Japanese instruments and some other, island style drum stuff that I don't have access to, that I can't play. So it's easier to kind of incorporate that into the music, utilizing the AI. If I were to try and organize all that on Fiverr, it would take me like 6 months to get a 2-minute song. Amy Larkin, I was actually just gonna be a normal person, but I think now I'm literally gonna wear a Tiki mask at that event. People are like, who do you think you are, dead man? Oh, it's gonna be great. Watch that be like my no, I have not made a Discord server. I've been toying around with the idea for it. Maybe for like I may make a local Florida one just for Conflict 47, but it won't be strictly for me. There's just too much that can go wrong with a Discord server. So that's why I don't have one. For like people I don't know, if that makes sense. There we go. There we go. So I think that second tank trap is much more to scale. You see what I'm talking about? The first one's a little too small. Yeah, it's basically like Hago size. This one's a legit. Yeah, this would stop a tank. That's a legitimate tank trap. So all right. Most importantly, we did not build with our template piece. So we still have our template piece. So now I can cut out like 6 or 9 more. Oh yeah, no, I actually did look at it. I actually liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. I don't think I thumbs up on it, so let me thumbs up on it. I'm sorry, I looked at it the other day while I was at work. I thought it was pretty cool. It's a little creepy, but it was cool. It was the eyes. It was the eyes that kind of bugged me painting games. I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. And the eyes are just like, eh. Like, not in a bad way, but it's like spider eyes, It's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever set it. If I do that with Discord, it'll literally just be for organizing games. Only because I'm trying to bridge the gap. So in Florida, anyways, the big bolt action scene, the best way to find people, because a lot of them are generally older, it's all organizing through Facebook. But modern generations like Discord better, so you have to like kind of bridge the gap between the two. It's kind of weird. Yeah, unfortunately, painting games without, again, remaining as apolitical as possible. Due to recent events, I've been extraordinarily busy at work, cranking out a lot of overtime. So, I haven't had a chance to look at a lot of stuff. I did see that drawing, though. I thought it was cool. First, like, oh, cool. Then I saw the eyes, and I was like, ooh, creepy. I think it'll be fine. Mad Larkin, you say sweaty. I think it's just knowing you and your kind of personality, just from like the chat we've had, it probably is more tactically sound than sweaty. I don't think you're a sweaty player per se, but then again, I've never played you, so I don't know. I feel like tabletop wargaming really does reveal a little bit about a person's character. You know, it's like you can get to know someone by playing chess with them. So we'll see. You also have to make up for it by the blood of your enemies. Yeah, tournament. I see what you're saying. Alright, here's another segment piece for our next tank trap. Let's see how the tank trap looks next to Archer Heavy Infantry. Yep, that still passes my scale check, so yep, I'm glad we built the first one too small. And then we scaled it back up. I think that's gonna work really well for us. Hey, Evolutionary Gamer, what's going on, buddy? No, I was actually just grabbing a drink for my cup of coffee. And every now and then I mute it because I'm clipping out little bits from Sprue to build some tank traps. So if you hear me mute, usually I remember to turn the mic back on, but sometimes I don't. Just come over here cutting stuff, and I'm with these like clips to kind of like come through the mic and assault your the ears of y'all. All right, there's my second piece done. Let me get a third one. Oh, yeah, so, yeah, that was the other stream. I don't know what it was, some kind of tech failure. That stream just, like, dropped, so instead of trying to figure it out, I just literally created a whole second stream. But I appreciate you coming over and joining this one. I really appreciate it. That's why I called this one, like, 27.5. I'm like, I have no idea what happened, but I'll just make another one. I don't know if my OBS was just like, you know what, F you, we're just not going to work today. Alright, we have our next three pieces cut out. And the mic is back on. Let me grab this runaway piece of sprue here. Alright, got my piece of sprue back. We got our three pieces cut out, so now we're just going to neaten them up with a hobby knife. And we're going to glue them and make another tank trap. I need a bunch of these. Once I get this one built, I'll take this stuff off and I'll show you the piece of terrain that I'm working on. So yeah, it's just trash bashing. So I literally just, my first one was too small. So then I kind of measured out, once I realized first one was too small, I measured out what size piece I'd need, and I marked it as my template piece with a T. And then I just hold it up to a sprue, like I'm using a Chiha sprue that I've already built. And I'm just cutting out pieces of equal length. And once I have that, then I just kind of neaten them up and glue them in a cross with one underneath, or an X with one underneath. And it gives you a check hedgehog. It's not pretty, but that's kind of the point, you know. Then all you do is you just spray primer these black, and you're good to go. You have yourself some tank traps. Pretty good obstacles, you know. It can be heavy cover for your infantry, you know, and it can be impassable terrain for your tanks. They're good to put on roads. That way people don't just like take bicycles or armored cars all the way up a road and flank you. You know, most intelligent armies would have, like, you know, recon units up front or engineer units kind of block off main avenues of approach. Alright, there's our second piece. I'm gonna clean off this third piece. We'll be good to go. So all we're doing is just kind of neatening up the pieces on here. So it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth or flat. You want it to kind of look roughed up, you know, like it's just scrap iron being welded together for tank trap, but you also don't want it like too gnarly. People can just tell it's literally just sprue you cut off and glued. I mean, it is, but, you know, put a little bit of work into it. Favorite tank. It's not technically a tank, but it would probably be the Sheridan. I believe it's classified as an armored Airborne Assault Vehicle. I don't know, some stupid acronym. But the Sheridan Light Tank, which is not a tank, is my favorite tank. If that makes sense. The Sheridan just had a really bad habit of coming out when when RPG 7s became extremely popular and cheap to make around the world. So between RPG 7s and IEDs, there's absolutely no point for a Sheridan other than, you know, long range reconnaissance. I believe so, Sean. Yeah, the 152 millimeter gun that could launch the Shillelagh anti-tank guided missiles. Also had a beehive round. They could technically ford small creeks and rivers, and they were air deployable. I think technically you could like parachute them in, but the more common method was just to fly. It was do like a low altitude pass in a C-130 and boot that bitch right off the back with like a drag chute on it. So the Sheridans, they had the Shillelagh anti-tank missiles. And they actually got kills and they became useful during Desert Storm. So the thing was, the 82nd Airborne were the first ones on scene for Desert Shield. And before we could get all the ships, you know, and all our actual armored groups on scene, both the Army and the Marine Corps, who relied on the M1 Abrams, which is a great tank, don't get me wrong. But before we could get all the Abrams in place to go charging across the border, the tanks we had on scene were the Sheridans, because they're part of the airborne unit. And so the first opening quote-unquote tank shots of Desert Storm was actually Sheridans up against, you know, T-72s, and they were just knocking them the fuck out because they had long-range anti-tank guided missiles. And Desert Warfare, that's a great spot for us. The Sheridan did very well, surprisingly. It's something it was never even conceived to do. That was 100% not its role. But it did surprisingly well. But I think that was the last combat use of them. They used them in Just Cause or Urgent Fury, one of the two, I forgot. I think it was Granada. I think they used them in Granada, so that was Urgent Fury. But the problem is they don't have armor, so they're just made out of like fucking aluminum. So yeah, an RPG 7 would absolutely waste one. And because they had these weird caseless shells, there was always loose powder floating around inside. So if you hit one on fire, I mean, they went up like a Roman candle. But I have, if you can tell, because I play the Imperial Japanese, I have a thing for light tanks. I just really like maneuverable light tanks. I think they're cool. As far as like modern tanks, I guess it's not really modern because I believe the UK already phased them out. But the Scorpion line of armored vehicles, there's a whole line: Scorpions, Sultans, Samaritans, Samsons. It's like a whole line of tanks. They have like rubber treads and Porsche engines. They're really cool. Yes, they are. Yeah, what is it? The Booker? The Booker is the new light tank. Oh yeah. So one of the cool things is, and again, I'm not a tanker, so I'm just passing on rumor that I heard. I have a little bit of experience with this, because it's one of the stories that happened to me. Is one of my favorite guns that I've never gotten to shoot is a grease gun, M3A1. And from what I heard, there's still some M3A1s and a couple of the tanks during the Gulf War and during the Iraq invasion, both first and second. It just had a spot inside the tank. You know, they couldn't fit the M4s weren't commonly distributed yet, and M16s were a little too big, you know? So the rumor was there's still some grease guns in some of the actual tanks, you know, for the crew. So the story with that is I came across that because we were cleaning out a NATO armory, and we came across some grease guns, and I wanted to shoot, and we wanted to shoot them. We were allowed to. We were firearms instructors. We had the appropriate training for, like, we had the, not the appropriate training, but we had the documentation to where we could do stuff like that. The only problem is, and where we got caught, it wasn't anything illegal, but where we got caught with it was because we didn't have the ammo for it. And at the time, nothing in the Air Force chambered 45 ACP. You know, not our sidearms. Even the submachine gun that we trained the OSI guys on, those were MP5s, those were 9 mils. Everything was 9 mil, 5.56, or there's a couple 7.62s, right? Nothing was 45. So when we requested, you know, from Munns, you know, we requested a box of 45 ACP, you know, like an ammo can. I worked with Cadam. Yep. I was a straight leg, but I was attached as a RSO to Cadam. And I was a training instructor. Yeah, interesting, you know, Cadam. Yeah. That's very interesting. No, I never wore the official red hat. I never got to go to the schoolhouse. I was an instructor. But, yeah, I was attached to him while we did an armory review. So we requested a box of 45 ACP from Munns, and they're like, why the fuck? So the actual officer came and was like, hey, why do you need 45 ACP? We're like, shit, we gotta tell him. So we showed them a whole box of M3A1s we found. They're like, yeah, those are going to a DRMO, which is basically where happiness goes to die. You know, they get, you know, God sent God knows where, right? But I was a range safety officer and instructor, so I was always out on the line for like gin pop shootings and stuff like that. Oh, no shit. That's what I was, Sean. I did it for just shy of 10 years. So, yeah, small world, man. Blue Berets. I did typical Blue Beret stuff until I got bumped up to training shop. You know, I did S3T a lot. Then about middle of my career, I got pulled for S2. I did S2 and S2I work. Then I went back to just regular security forces. I deployed, did some more S2 work, and then when I got out, I went to a space control squadron, but still out security forces. And there I got put as the NCOIC of training. And then my last assignment is I got bumped up to the state level to teach at and to teach and be op 4 for a pre-deployment center for our state. So small world, Sean. I enjoyed the career field. I had a good time, but I always try to make good choices. Oh no, the glue wasn't ready on that one yet. Ah, okay. So it may seem like me and Sean are swapping like a bunch of like numbers. I know exactly what he's talking about when he says 8/20th. Okay, I see you. I got you. Yeah. Boom, there we go. Second anti-tank trap, already knocked out. 8/20th. Okay. Yeah, when I went over to the guard, I tried to join a Red Horse unit because I thought that would be awesome. But their security forces built was already taken up, and before I could like do something different, I got offered a really unique position at a space control squadron. This is about a couple years before the Space Force came around, so they were still space control squadrons. They were still really rare. You know, no one really knew what they were. So I was like, yeah, I'll sign up to do it. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. It was interesting, but kind of eh. All right, Paint Games, tell them I said hi. For those of you who don't know, me and Sean are talking about we did the same job in the Air Force, and it's a very relatively small career field compared to other things. So we actually might, depending what times we were in, we might actually know some of the same people. Very interesting, very cool, very very cool. All right, so now we have that tank trap built. Let me go ahead and clear off what I have over there and show you the terrain that I'm working on. It's like I was just a wrench turner. let me move these models, and I'll mute it for a second, and I'll grab them. Oh, God. Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah, you do know Blaine. Okay, yeah. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So that was my final billet, was teaching there, doing out 4, which is really fun because I got to work with the DEA. I got to work with some of the X-ray kids. I learned a lot of cool shit. But I was never anything like, I was never actually anything super cool. At my first base, I was EST, but then I got, I didn't do that again. That wrecked my body enough for one base. Other than that, I just did a bunch of like S2 stuff. Be right back. Yeah, it's actually starting to scare me a little bit, Sean. I feel like we might actually, I mean, I have a pretty characteristic voice, so I feel like if we ever worked together, you would recognize the voice. Especially because as a trainer, like an S3T, I taught a lot and I talked a lot. So I have a very unique voice. So if we did something together, I'm pretty sure you'd figure out who I was pretty damn quick. If you don't already recognize the voice. Well, it's very strange that we have a very similar thing right now. Oh, I bet. You gotta follow that TO, Matt. You gotta follow the TO step by step. Step 1, turn the page. Alright, so with this piece of terrain, this one isn't as detailed as my other ones because I just started it. But you can tell I have, these are the spider holes that come in the Island of Salt box. So you have, oops, sorry. Look at that. There you go, I'm trying to get on camera. So you have one spider hole here. You have the bunker. And then you have the other spider hole with the machine gun sticking out. So I have it built, and what I'm going to try and do is literally kind of connect each spider hole to the bunker with anti-tank traps. That way it kind of creates kind of like an overlapping, you can kind of tell where the FP, final protective line and stuff like that is. I'll put some stake outs and I'll put in some more trees. And once I get those ready, I'm going to put out more shrubbery. So maybe. There you go. So you can kind of see what I'm going for. We'll literally have the tank traps kind of going around, because that's going to make this tabletop piece, I want it to be impassable terrain. And what you could say is you're not sure, with those bunkers being there, you're not sure what's mined and what's not mined. So it literally is just one big piece of impassable terrain. So my two other big tabletop pieces have a lot more trees than just this one. It's like kind of covered in trees. And it has like a fence kind of going through the middle. So this one I wanted to be a little bit more sparse tree. This is kind of like right on the other side of the beach where you start kind of running into it. So yeah, I want this one to have a whole bunch of tank traps kind of all over it. Yeah, as far as like the bunker and the little spider holes, those actually come in the Island Assault starter box for bolt action. And that's the only place they come, so that's kind of cool. If you want those, you can't, obviously you can probably go on eBay, but you can't pick them up anywhere first party other than the actual Island Assault box. Yeah, that's crazy, Sean. We'll probably leave it there for the stream, but you'll definitely have to message me. Hit me up on Discord or something like that. We'll chat. We'll see if we do know some of the same people. That's absolutely crazy, brother. But yeah. So I'm glad you like that, Matthew. I've been working on it. So it's not as good as my other tabletop pieces. This one's still very plain because I just started it. But I wanted to get a couple of these big like rectangular pieces done because you kind of plop these up randomly on a board. I mean, yeah, it still looks kind of rectangularly, but it really starts blocking stuff off. It's a good way to kind of put a lot of terrain on a board. So I know the stream's kind of a little dry. I already kind of showed how to kitbash these, but I got to build a couple more. Next stream, tomorrow stream, I said next stream. Tomorrow stream, we'll be building a half track, so I'm pretty excited for that. For me, it'll count as a captured half track, so I'll run it with rules as a ho-ha. And it comes times to place the machine guns. I'm actually going to place the machine guns in the configuration that is for the ho-ha, which is one of the reasons why I don't run it. So the ho-ha's firing arcs is to the rear and to the sides, nothing to the front, which is weird. Because actual ho-has had forward-facing machine guns, but I don't know. It's weird. I just don't run them. But I happen to have the model from the Island Assault box. I'm never going to collect U.S. Marines. So I'm like, oh, let me just use that half-track as another vehicle in case I ever need a half-track. Which would be good. So the other thing is, if you have these vehicles, I recommend building them. Because even if you don't really use them, you can always turn them over on their sides. Or build those destroyed vehicle markers I talked about, which I'll show on camera one day, where you use like a tea light and you cover it with cotton balls and you kind of spray paint it. So when you turn it on, it kind of looks like a fire. And flipped over destroyed half track makes for good terrain as well. Alright, we have our 3 pieces. I put my template down. Now I just gotta clean them up a little bit more clipping. And then I'll leave the mic on, and then we'll clean these up and build another tank trap. So I'm thinking I need at least 4 or 5 of them just for this one project. Like I said, spray paint them black, and once that's in, glue them on, and they'll be good to go. Then I'll put in some more shrubbery and some more trees, and this little piece of terrain will be good to go. Maybe make like a little mine sign, Good thing I have a gunpla marker. Makes it a lot easier. All right, there are 3 pieces clipped. Yeah, so not a bad idea, Mad Larkin. I'm gonna build a whole bunch more just for scatter terrain, but I also wanted like bits of actual kind of terrain down. Yeah, it's kind of like for a diorama, so I build these big, massive, rectangular set pieces of terrain only because some of the rules, especially for demo games, can be kind of complex. So scatter terrain works when you really know what you're doing with the terrain, but for like demo games, when you're talking about like, hey, what's impassable, what's difficult terrain and stuff like that, when you have these big, massive areas, it kind of makes it a little bit easier. So that's why I have these 3 big rectangular blocks. Like you see how wide this block is, and it's pretty long. So I have these 3 wide blocks. 2 of them are heavy forest with some fencing in it, and then this one is gonna have bunkers with tank traps and like a little sign that says minefield. So it makes this one like 100% impassable. You know, you can't take a tank through the tank traps. You don't want to send infantry because, you know, there could be someone in the bunker or there could be landmines. So this will be like a nice piece of impassable terrain, if that makes sense. But yeah, no, I'll probably be making like 50. Like off camera, I'll probably be making like 25 or 30 or 50 of these little tank traps. You know, building small little areas. You know, like I'll take a 60mm base and put, you know, tank traps all over it, ring up some like razor wire. You know, and those are great to put in as like roadblocks. You know, so when you lay down the roads for a city or a map, you can put that right at a certain place to prevent your enemy from like running too far up the road, you know? Kind of make a little bit, ooh, my book fell. Kind of make it a little bit more realistic. Oh, that took out my tree. Oh, got a tree down, a tree down. The book was not amused. It said, fuck your Lorax, you don't speak for no trees. Yeah. No, I definitely plan on having I do like having scatter terrain as well. Yeah, these trees aren't glued down as well. They're also not painted down like my other ones, so I still have to go back over and paint these ones. Yeah, these are just little plastic palm trees picked up like a whole bunch of them in a box for a crazy low price, probably from China. There we go. Alright, let me move this tank out of the way. And get building his tank trap. Yeah, once I get the tank traps down, I'll put down more trees, and then I'll put in the shrubbery and the bushes. And then I think this one will be done. I'll put in the little minefield sign, and we'll be good to go. Funny you mentioned that. I actually have some crocodile miniatures from my D&D days. And so, you know, when I play streams and rivers, a lot of people are just like, oh yeah, the river's running low. I think it's like the fever of not using terrain for what it's supposed to be. I think it comes from 40k, like way back in the day. The Chimera was the only amphibious vehicle, and that was really cool. You know, so you could cross rivers. But nowadays, like I can't remember the last time I saw pictures of a Warhammer 40 game that had like a river in it, you know. But even in Bolt's actually like, yeah, it's a low river, it's just, you know, difficult terrain, you know. But I like it to where like, no, you know, you need to have an amphibious vehicle or find the bridge, and that makes the bridge the key terrain. So what I do to prevent people from crossing rivers is I have a whole bunch of like gator miniatures from D&D days. So I'm literally gonna put gators in my river. Right? Yeah, the last one was hard enough to get rid of. Everywhere I went, I had to order 2 beers, one for me and one to drown my crabs in. It starts getting expensive, you know? Yeah, you told me about your hilarious Alaskan shenanigans, man. Those things sound awesome. Having a GM run it so you can have like blind ambushes and stuff like that, it seems really cool. But you have to have a really good group for it, so you guys probably all trust each other too. So I think random stuff like that can be cool. Depending on the thing. Like a great example, I used to play a sailing ship style tabletop game. And what's cool with that is to have a wind mechanic. You know, we'd roll a d6. You know, on a 5, the wind died. On a 6, the wind stayed the same. On a 1, 2, 3, or 4 was northeast, southwest. So yeah, it works pretty well. Alright, hey, thanks for popping in, Mad Larkin. I appreciate it. Good luck, buddy. Don't worry about those 10 points, man. You're going to make up for it bathing in the blood, so good luck, buddy. Take it easy, Larkin. Best of luck, man. I look forward to seeing how you do. I think random kind of dice roll mechanics like that can be good as long as everyone agrees with it, but it can definitely lead to some shenanigans. Sorry, I had it muted because I was doing a little bit of clipping. Let me build this third tank trap. Alright, so what that link is, that's just a link to a merch shop. Again, this channel is not for profit, it's all for free. It'll never be paid memberships or anything like that. I do this literally just for fun. As long as it's fun to me, I'll keep doing it. And I'm trying to like build more and more Conflict 47, you know, not just in my local area, but like everywhere. So just for fun, and I can't stress how much it is just for fun, I made merch. It's literally just to kind of bring humor back to like the tabletop wargaming scene. So if you take a look at it, don't feel like you have to. If you take a look at it, you see something you like, you know, feel free to grab it. I priced everything as low as I possibly could. I think it still makes like $8 profit, and all the profits go towards the events that I run. So like this demo event, there's no prizes, so that's fine. But when I run my Clash of the Caribbean, which will be my annual bolt action tournament on a cruise ship, that goes towards, you know, prizes for the event, or buying food, or helping people pay for rooms for the event and stuff like that. So anything made from that merch store, that's directly where it goes to. Right now we have $7 in our war chest directly from that store. Some people have already ordered some stuff, which is kind of funny. I just like the idea of people wearing the funny shirts or like having the funny items, at a tabletop event. People will be like, who the hell is the Tiki guy, So I think it's funny. That's why I made it, literally for the memes and for the jokes. But anything that's made from that goes directly towards funding future Conflict 47 and Bolt Action events. But if you see something there you like, definitely pick it up. I'm slowly adding more and more stuff as I think about it. The thing that cracked me was I did try and do a one shirt for each of the main factions for Conflict 47. Not all, but for most of them. And they all kind of have like humorous things on the back. If you've ever been to a tournament or a gaming event, everyone's always like stooped over at the waist of their tabletop. You can see the back of people's shirts. So I try to put funny shit on the back of the shirts, to kind of make people who like look around the room kind of laugh a little bit. Bring back a little bit more light humor to it. Oh no! I had a tank trap built, but I dropped it. I just always try and put the link in once when I do like a 4-hour stream like this. I just throw the link in there in case anyone's interested. Like I said, I'm just happy to be here. I just want you guys to show up and just chat and just hang out. Don't feel like you gotta click on anything. I just like seeing you guys. It's always hilarious. It helps me slay my pile of gray, and also get some models built. Boom, there we go. Another tank trap. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. Knocking them out. A little bit of trash bashing. Probably not the most exciting thing to see on the stream. I appreciate you guys bearing with me, but I definitely want to get this terrain ready. As I said, doing a demo game, it's all about getting that first impression out there. Yeah, I see what you did there, Sean. Clever girl. So again, I always like to keep a troop. Whenever I'm doing terrain, I always like to keep a troop on board to kind of see how the scale's looking. I think it depends on the tank HS. So let me double check that for you. I know vehicles have a unique fuel when it comes to their flamethrowers, but let me check that out for you. Let me look up a flame tank for you, because I don't want to tell you the wrong information. Yeah, so for Conflict 47 anyways, looking at just the main rulebook, not checking the later two rulebooks. For vehicle mounted flamethrower, you roll a d6 and results of 1, the flamethrower's running out of fuel. Trying to look to see its range. Alright, let me go to a vehicle that I know has a flamethrower on it. Oh. You know what? I know the German Spine can actually take a closed top version that actually has a vehicle-borne flamethrower. I think it's vehicle-borne flamethrower, so let me double check. Okay, here you go. So for range, for a vehicle-borne, so an infantry flamethrower, it has a 6-inch range. A vehicle-borne light flamethrower has a 12-inch range, and the flamethrower regular for vehicle is 12-inch. So to answer your question, okay, so what page for Conflict 47 in the first book? It's page 412. I say again, 412. The weapons chart, and it has a profile for flamethrower infantry, light flamethrower vehicle. That's going to be your Spine, German Walker, and then you have your flamethrower for vehicle. So I think the light flamethrowers are on the Guardian light walkers and the Spine German light walkers. Yes, sir. 412. That's awesome, Matthew. Yeah, I'm trying to make things like kind of funny. I made some shirts that are like I guess like a little not spicy, you know, but like obviously it's geared towards one style of humor. Then I try to make some shirts that are like more wholesome, I guess, you know. So I'm adding more and more things. Like I'm trying to come up. If you notice, one of the things I liked is for the Russians. The Russian is the only faction that also has the shirt available in a hoodie. So I'm gonna do the same thing with the Finnish. The next design is gonna be a Finnish one. So it's gonna be a Finnish T-shirt, which is white with blue writing. And the Finnish one's also going to come with a hoodie. I think it's funny, you know, because those countries have a shit ton of snow. But I'm trying to come up with what joke I want to put on the back of the Finnish shirt. I have a couple jokes and kind of tossing around to kind of see, like, what's funnier. So, if those things make you laugh, that's awesome. Like, if you want to pick them up, that's cool. It just goes directly towards the next event, which I appreciate. And so does everybody who goes to the events, I'm sure. But the biggest thing is, yeah, just, you know, I just made them because I thought it'd be funny to see people wear them. You know, I'm going to send them out. I'm going to send them as like prizes for other people's tournaments. Like a good example, when Morty and Glory does events, I like to sponsor like his, most sportsman award. So I think like last time I did like a Start Collecting box, for the Imperial Japanese. But I also want to give out like some shirts and some other stuff to try and like sponsor that and kind of make it funny. I just think it's funny when people wear t-shirts like that. I don't know. Call me a nerd. Thanks, Sean. Man, I super appreciate that. Yeah, so the picture of the Surfing USA, Surfing USSR, that's a real picture. It's not me, but I'm pretty sure it's a Navy SEAL surfing on the front of a submarine. So, of course, I covered his... It's a very well-known picture, but I covered his face with a Tiki mask. Not just to make it funny and Tiki, but also to protect his... to protect who it is. But yeah, that really did happen. I think that's a SEAL surfing on the front of a submarine. So, I thought it was funny. And I try to make the nation shirts, the color schemes and the color writing and the font kind of match the nation. I didn't want to do roundels or symbols because, again, there's Germans and the USSR, and I don't want to put those on a shirt, you know what I mean? Especially not tied to my name. So that's why I decided to use the font and the colors to kind of signify the different nations, if that makes sense. So you can look at it, you can tell by the color, the writing, and the joke on the back, you know, what nation it belongs to. I felt like that's the safest way to kind of do it. All right, let me build another tank trap. So we have 3 tank traps built already. We're going for at least 2 more. I think we got time. We can knock that out. I'll take a look. I'm not sure HS if they're a little bit more than that. I'm trying to think. The only American flame tank I can think of, because the Crocodile was the British. I want to say. I know the Americans have the Satan, the retooled Stuarts that the Marine Corps used as flame tanks, and I think they had one of their Buffaloes was also a flame tank. Oh no, I'm glad you said. Okay, so let me copy and paste that. Okay, now I need to look up Tomy. Yeah, I know who Simo was, but yeah, I forgot to look up Tomy. I'm so sorry, HS, but yeah, I'll look it up after the stream. I got it copy and pasted now. Yeah, the Finnish will definitely be the next one, and they'll have a t-shirt and a hoodie, you know, because it's cold. I thought it was a funny way to do, like a subtle, funny way to represent, like, the winter factions. Thank you for spelling that out. Yeah, it looked like Tomy, but Torny. Okay. That makes a little bit more sense. But yeah, one person already pointed out that so the The outro song for these streams is my Hula Girls a Zombie Hula Ghoul, one of the AI songs I wrote for like my army in Conflict 47, my Imperial Japanese, because I use you know, they're called the Tiki Terror, so I use like these like Tiki zombies. It's pretty cool. Anyway, someone said, hey, why isn't that a shirt? So that's one of the other ideas I gotta turn into a shirt. So if you guys ever come up with any kind of merch ideas or a t-shirt you want to see, man, let me know and I'll put it in my list of things to make. I stay busy, you know, making videos, editing. Editing is what's slowing me down right now. Editing's the worst. Oh god. But I always try and keep everything momentally. It's funny, I'm trying to balance both video content creation and physical appearances, because I feel bad just making like bolt action, you know, building streams and lore videos and not playing bolt action, because I almost feel like it's like an imposter syndrome. It's like, how many videos can I make before I'm actually on the tabletop rolling dice to get like my street cred, you know? I don't want to just be like a lore channel. You know, I barely have any lore videos out, but you know what I mean? So I have a couple of videos in the works, but that's why I'm really excited to actually roll some dice and get on the tabletops. That way I'm not a, I don't feel as much of like imposter-ish, you know? All right, that's getting copy and pasted as well. That sounds absolutely awesome. So one of the many things I've learned to have a notepad open so I can literally just copy and paste cool stuff you guys say. Oh, that sounds absolutely legit. I will look that up. Well, I appreciate that, HS, but you know how it is, where I'm like, you know, people are like, oh, hey, like, I haven't played a 3rd edition game against another opponent yet. I've set up 2 armies and kind of like tested out some stuff, you know, but I haven't played another human opponent in 3rd edition yet. So when people keep asking me like, hey, what's a good idea for bolt action, I always try and give the caveat. I'm like, you know, I haven't played a real game of 3rd edition yet, but this is what looks good to me, you know? So I kind of want to pop that cherry, for lack of a better term, so that way I can, you know, not have to give that disclaimer every time someone asks me something about bolt action, which I'm glad people do, don't get me wrong. Only because I feel like I'm one of the few people still sticking with the Imperial Japanese. If you guys hang out in Mordian's stream or his chat, you'll saw this. I thought it was funny. A meme I posted about how, you know, Mordian Glory and Woodimp both abandoned the IJA. One of the last people playing. Like, what the hell? Where'd everybody go? But yeah, you bring up a good point, HS. You know, where about how like building models is still in the stream, because some people, I know a good guy who he doesn't play 40k, but he just builds models. He does a really good job and he likes it. So yeah, I guess there's nothing wrong with just building the models, but I do like being on the tabletop. But yeah, you probably won't run into me in a tournament scene. That's one thing I do kind of stay away from it. I said, yeah, you probably won't catch me in a tournament scene. But like I said, I was talking earlier about there's a event I want to set up, like a nice casual meetup and play. There you go. Well, and I understand why. So, For those of you who don't know, and it's not insider knowledge, Warlord Games posted the picture. So they talked about their roadmap of releasing the armies of, like, particular nations for bolt action. The last army is the Empires of Japan, and it comes out late 2026. So the Huns just got their book released, the Germans. And what's funny about that is the Banzai rule got massively nerfed. I mean, hugely nerfed to where it drastically affects the army. The Imperial Japanese. And I understand why some people were abusing it with bamboo spearmen and some stuff like that, but, you know, that's not every person. That's not every player. But the Imperial Japanese got Negan'd. You know, from Walking Dead, I'm talking with like a cricket bat just got beaten in a back alley with a Nerf bat. It was bad. So the Imperial Japanese are nowhere near as strong as they used to be. So right now they had their big world. I think they had their first big world event, and Winamp, a channel, is a friend, took it to the Imperial Japanese, and he did okay, but he said it was bad. It was like an uphill battle the whole way. And I understand that can not be enjoyable for those competitively minded. So I understand why people are swapping to other armies. And I think it's good to have multiple armies. I have my Count as German Cult of Imhotep army, you know? So it's good to have multiple armies. I'll just always main the Imperial Japanese. It's definitely my faction. IJA before all else, you know, IJA Bay. Yeah, so that's what it is. Yeah. No, I got you. I have a weird schedule too. I recently just swapped mine, Sean. I used to have what was it? Sundays and Mondays off, and I worked Tuesday through Saturday. So it gave me a day off during the week to get stuff done, which was cool. But then I got asked if I would take, if I'd work the whole weekend and have Monday, Tuesday off. So now I have Monday, Tuesday off, and I spend one of those days at my other job, which is teaching. So I generally have one day off a week, and it's during the day. So it's either Monday or Tuesday. It's during the week. So that really hampered my wargaming style. So that's why now I kind of mostly just build and do like lore videos. But I try and schedule, because I can still put in PTO or leave, you know? So this event I have coming up on the 25th, I did on a Monday just so it's easier for me. But when I do like a bigger event, I'll schedule it for a weekend so more people can come. But yeah, when you work weird schedules like that, it can really hamper your ability to do like tabletop wargaming. That's why people go to like tournaments every week. I'm like, that's impressive. I could never do that. That's mad impressive though. Nah, it's one of those things. I see what you're saying, HS, but no, it doesn't bother me because, like I said, I'm not super competitive. So as long as I'm still able to bring my list, I don't mind. But that takes me into the whole dice count thing. That's something that annoyed me about dice count. I'm like, look, if you're already restricting my army because they got nerfed to high heaven, and you have a point restriction in the game, which is fine. The points should be perfectly fine. People will still play low dice count. I'm like, okay, that's just another further penalization. It's like saying, yes, you can take any model in your book. Germany now has an army book, which is awesome, good for Germany, but Imperial Japan doesn't. So, you know, where it's like, hey, you could take that, but we don't want to see any bamboo spearmen. Or you're only limited to 17 dice. I was like, you're just adding extra limitations on my already limited army. You know, we already have the same points cost, so we should be okay there. Yes, I may have more dice, and yes, the game may take a little bit longer, but, you know, I don't know, it's just my sense on it. I feel like these super low dice counts, which are kind of becoming more and more popular, I think that's literally just really kneecapping the Soviets, the Imperial Japanese, and the French partisans. I mean, like, I wouldn't let anyone do anything excessive. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see going past 24 dice. I think at 1250... you should not be going past 24 dice. That starts getting into like huge meme territories, which I can appreciate where that gets crazy. But like 17 for a 1250 point game, I'm like, Jesus. I just don't like it. It goes back to second edition where I didn't take bamboo spearmen But anytime I showed up as Imperial Japanese, people were like, "Oh, you better not be taking bamboo spearmen." I'm like, hold on, please don't tell me what I better not be taking in a game of toy soldiers. You know, if it's a unit in my army book, and if I bought the unit and I painted the unit, and I want to play the unit, I'm more than welcome to play. Now, you don't have to play against it. That's okay too. But don't. So many people would do that. So many people would be like, "Oh, you better not be using this unit." I'm like, don't tell me what I can and can't use. Like, what? I was like, that's such a weird thing. And I only ever saw it versus the Imperial Japanese. I never saw anyone tell the Germans don't bring Nuremberg or the British don't bring land mattresses, or whatever the hell their rockets are called, or tell the Americans don't bring DACA Stewarts. You know, but it's just a reputation, I guess, for the Imperial Japanese. It's like, oh, you better not have bamboo spear fighters. Like, first off, I don't. Secondly, like, if it's in my list, that makes it a legal unit. I can take it if I want. I don't know. Sorry, I don't mean to go off on that thing. It's just I heard that. I think every big event I went to, I heard it at least once. And the first couple of times I laughed it off, but then I really started getting annoyed by it. I'm like, what is with this? You know? So it's funny you say that, HS. I actually, so some of the terrain I have, so I get a lot of my terrain from big box pet stores because they're super easy. They're already painted and they're already pretty durable. So I actually have some tiki masks, or like tiki statues that are like my terrain. They're also hollow on the inside, you know, for fish. So they actually set up as like machine gun bunkers. You know, you can actually fortify them and use them as like building or cover. It's actually kind of cool. Fuck, I don't know if what am I? I don't think I'm Gen X. I think I'm like a millennial. I think I'm like the very beginning of millennials. So. Yeah, once I finish this tank trap, I'll put one of the tiki things on the table so you can, or in front of the camera so you can see what the train looks like. Yeah, same thing, Sean. I like big themed events, you know, like I miss apocalyptic games in like 7th edition, 6th edition, but that's why I think after this event, after this little demo game I'm doing on the 25th, I think the next event I'm going to try and run will be in December. I think I've already talked about it. You may have been in the stream. It's the alternate history. I'm going to call it Once Upon a December, and what it's going to be is it's going to be it'll be bolt action, not conflict 47, but bolt action. Right after VJ, you know, right after victory in Japan, you know, during the when they're kind of messing around with Berlin, who's going to take what, a little bit of the Cold War kind of starts. So it's going to be a last minute, you know, run at USSR to try and impose a whole nother revolution, and, you know, like a white Russian revolution. So it'll be Soviet players versus a mixture of British and American SOE, so they can take like recon platoons. And then you can have like some German units or some remilitarized Japanese units. You know, you can get all sorts of kind of stuff they kind of throw in there. It's kind of like a World War II Black Ops kind of thing to it, you know? So I think that's a fun event. I think that'd be kind of cool. I don't like tournaments, but I think that would be very interesting. Then at the end of the day, you can see who won. Yeah, the whole point is like they found Anastasia, or a girl claiming to be Anastasia. So like, hey, if we, you know, and if we strike from Siberia, if we strike from Manchuria and Japan and Siberia and push across, maybe we can get a, you know, revolution and install this person who is supposedly Anastasia on the Tsardom, on the throne, you know, and overthrow a USSR while they're busy in Berlin and all this other shit. So it's kind of a cool idea, you know, and I think it'd be a fun event. It's not a tournament, but there'll be rounds, so it's like an escalation. So the very first one would be like night fighting with smaller, like 500-point armies. And then you scale up to larger point armies that you bring in more tanks and more vehicles and kind of get into these big fights. So yeah, that's my counter towards tournaments. You know, I don't want to sit here and lambast or complain about tournaments too much without offering a fair solution. So that's my fair solution, is to offer events like that in my area. So That way, so that way, if you want to play bolt action, you know, you don't just have to go to tournaments. It'll be other options. I got the idea from like Castle Itter and some other stuff. Yeah, Castle Itter and the remilitarization of Imperial Japanese soldiers by the British in Vietnam. So there's like real world context behind it, you know, but it's also kind of humorous. And I figured it'd be hilarious to do it in December. Granted, it doesn't snow down here in Florida, but it's still kind of funny. Because there's always books and stories about different historical, like, I mean, talk to a Boltex player who's played for a couple of years. They've done, and nothing wrong with it. I love them. I truly do. I'm not complaining. They've done Normandy or they've done Battle of the Bulge, you know, but they haven't done these fictional stuff, you know. Or if you want to be historical, I'd love to set up an actual Operation Ironclad, which was the battle in Madagascar. That was British Royal Navy plus the Commonwealth of British, I want to say it was South Africans, for their land force versus Vichy French in Madagascar with Imperial Japanese naval support of submarine and aircraft. First off, the Allies beat the shit out of them, but absolutely very interesting battle. Very interesting forces on either side. You had Royal Navy, South Africans versus Vichy French and Imperial Japanese Navy in Africa. Absolutely wild, you know, like that's not something you hear talked about or seen very often. Yeah, like HS is a good point. There's a lot of different ways you could take it. So yeah, I think it's something I'm toying around with. I think it'll be a fun kind of event to do. I don't know. Apparently I'm a lot like you guys. I really enjoy, you know, big themed fun events over tournaments. But to each their own. Some people really do like tournaments, and as long as it keeps the game alive, I'm happy. Let people have their tournaments by all means, and I hope they're fun. It's just I'd like to be able to get in more than just. I'd hate to drive like 4 or 6 hours, or I say 4 or 6 hours. I hate to drive like an hour someplace and an hour back just to get like one game of bolt action in. You know, so that's why I like events. So you're at least showing up and getting a lot of stuff put in. Now, if I wanted to go historical, another cool thing I could do HS is you could do like a Chick Patterson revolution of the Philippines, where you could do like after the Philippines were evacuated, you could be like the few American forces left behind that weren't captured, and you can slowly build up like your guerrilla forces, you know, and keep fighting against the Imperial Japanese. And you know, the first game starts off like 250 points, like super small, right? You know, as it goes on, you can actually build up your forces a little bit bigger than like maybe you steal a tank. You know, it can get a lot of fun. Not sure what that's in context to Evolution, but it made me laugh. Yes, it is. It 100% is. It's that double loop system, man. It'll get you every time. I'm very familiar with that area, Sean. I grew up just outside that area, so I'm very, very familiar with it. All right, one more tank trap and we'll be good. Yeah, it's funny. I'm actually scheduling a trip to go to a different state, and they actually have a Hago. So it's one of my goals to take this picture with as many the many ways you can take it. It's my goal to take a picture with as many Hago tanks as possible. I did the one down in Hawaii. And there's one up in Indiana, I want to say. So I'll be taking a trip to go see that one here soon. And I'm pretty excited. Yeah, seriously, it's actually terrifying me a little bit when you keep mentioning these things. I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus. Sean, I'm starting to feel like it's like the Spider-Man meme where it's like they're pointing at each other. I'm like, holy shit, it's that guy. It's like an in-lore conflict 47, like one of the rifts. You know, one of the rifts caused an alternate ego to split. Alright, we have our 3 new pieces cut out. I've got to trim them up a little bit, and we'll start building our last tank trap of the night and complete our little, complete all the tank traps we need for our terrain thing. Then we'll just need to prime them, and they will be good to go. And as you can tell, so, my heavy infantry are not painted the way they're supposed to be on the box. I kind of did my own style. That's my style set. So as you can tell with my heavy infantry, I went with giving him like the green style on his samurai armor, and then on top of his head, because I do this with all my heavier cruiser weapons, it kind of really makes the machine gunners and mortars like that pop out. I like to put a little bit of a tuft of grass on top of their helmet. I figured it's very, you know, Imperial Japanese style, especially if you have like a tropical unit. And it kind of makes them like blend in a little bit better. So, actually, HS, you say you do have some Conflict 47 models. If you want, I can either give you the email directly, which I feel a little weird about. I don't like giving out people's emails directly. No disrespect or anything like that. But I've actually been reaching out, talking with one of the head painters over at Conflict 47. I mean, over at World War Games. And it's nothing special about me. It's not that I know them or anything. Someone gave me their information saying that they're looking to collect pictures of painted Conflict 47 models so it can influence how those models are painted in the books later on. I'm not special. I just happen to be someone that someone reached out to. So I want to try and reach out to y'all. Any of y'all who have painted Conflict 47 models, please do send me your pictures. My Discord is exactly my name. You can find me in Discord as Tiki the Hut, no spaces. It's 1KT TIKI the Hut with 2 T's, like Jabba the Hutt. And then I will put the name I use for my Facebook, so you guys can find me. That I use the Facebook just for this channel and just for setting up games of Bolt Action and Comic 47. I say this not to be clever or funny. It's not my real name. It's not attached to anything real. It's just a fake name. But I'll put that in there because it's really the easiest way to find me, because it's got a lot of content on it, and it's maybe a little bit easier than Discord. So some people have Discord, some people have Facebook. I do have an Instagram, but I don't use it. There you go. So you can find me there on Facebook. You can hit me on Discord, or if you go on my YouTube channel under the contact me, it actually has the email that I have linked only to my YouTube account. You can shoot me an email there if you want. Just let me know whatever screen name you want and send me your pictures, and I will forward those and make sure you get all the credit. I'll forward those directly to the head painter for Conflict 47 over at Warlord Games and let her know. She's super cool, she's super friendly, and she's just trying to collect as many pictures as she can. So if you guys have any painted models, let me know, send them in, and I'll kick them up for you. And I'm not, I know it sounds weird, I'm not taking credit, you know, anything like that. I'll make sure the credit goes all to you. It's really cool how in a budding game like this, we're going to get to say what tanks look like and what tank schemes look like, what units look like, you know. That's really, really cool, I think. It's pretty unique. You know, it's kind of like getting to design your own Space Marine chapter, kind of in a weird way. So, if you guys do have Conflict 47 models and they're painted, definitely get me your pictures and I'll kick them up. Alright. Let me get back to my tank trap. No, not at all. Go ahead and send those in, especially if they're painted, and I think that'll be perfectly fine. I'll just let them know that these are third-party heads. They don't seem to be as strict about that as anyone else, only because they took over the whole program from Clockwork Goblins. They know a lot of their models are in, you know, very low supply, so the demand's high, so is the price. Like I said, I let them know that, granted, this is still Warlord game stuff, but, you know, my tank commanders, I chopped off the heads and put on samurai helmets. So, no, don't worry about the kit bashing. As long as it's still a Warlord Games like model, mostly, you're perfectly fine. Because when you look at the head, you know, that'll give them ideas to make their own heads. All right, well, hey, thanks for swinging by, Sean. Thanks for absolutely terrifying me with the similarities. I now think you work for the NSA, but. Thanks for watching the stream. Thanks for commenting. Yeah, we're about to end the stream here at 6 a.m. Eastern. But I appreciate you hanging out in the stream and jumping over to the new one when the first one went down. It was super cool having you in the stream, man. It was fun. I got some good information. We chatted back and forth. I always like people's critiques and ideas on where the hobby's going and where the hobby's been. It's always good to kind of bounce ideas off. But I hope, yeah, I'm streaming again tomorrow from 2 a.m. Eastern to 6 a.m. Eastern. So if you're available, swing by. If not, hey, no worries. You know, there's no roll call. Just come and go as you see fit, buddy. And just stay relaxed and stay chill and have a good day. HS, yeah, no, then you're perfectly fine, buddy. Yeah, definitely kick those over and I'll send them up for you if you're interested. I'm streaming on Eastern time, so it is 0540 Eastern. So I like to do this time because it works for me because I work weird hours. So after work I can sit down and do this. You know, I can stream for 4 hours. More importantly, you'll see it sometimes like people like Nathan in the chat and a few others. There's some people and Paint and Chat was here earlier. There's some people from over in Europe, and for them, you know, especially for those who are in like standard British time, it generally catches them like early afternoonish. You know, so after they wake up and have like, I don't know, burnt toast with beans. You know, this stream's available, so it's kind of a good time for people, because let's be honest, the UK is a massive area for this hobby and all the other hobbies. But yeah, I stream from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, and you're starting to become a regular, HS, which I appreciate. You'll see a lot of similar names, like I said. A lot of people are always here. Paint Chat's here. You know, Matthew's been one of the ride or die guys in the chat. You got Nathan. You got a few other people who are generally always here. It's super cool to see them. Every now and then, my buddy Next Vid will swing by. He does the stream roughly around the same time. He always checks in here before he goes to his stream. Shells of Iron will pop in sometimes, so it's pretty cool. Nice. Yeah, literally that's where World War Games is. So, you know, it's huge. So I like having a stream that kind of works for their time. You know. Mad Larkin generally always checks in. And if you're ever bored and you're looking for stuff to listen to and the stream's not available, and you want something just in the background to pass the time, me and a few buddies did a podcast. We haven't done a video like in about a year. We need to get back on it. You know, it's hard to organize the crew back together. But we did about 8 episodes of a podcast called the Minotaur Break Room. There's a link to that on my YouTube channel. It's pretty humorous, but it's about overall tabletops. A lot of 40k. A little bit about bolt action, some stuff about like Dungeons & Dragons. It's all different types of tabletop stuff, from tabletop wargaming to tabletop RPGs, and just like generally the social contract involved in it, you know. So. But every now and then you'll see some guys from that kind of swing in. Nice, yeah. Brian always swings in here. Me and Brian are always jumping to each other's streams, talking to each other. When I go to Texas, I'm definitely going to schedule to sit down and play some Weird War stuff with Brian. I think that'll be really cool, because I know we have a lot of similar people who watch both channels. So I think it'd be really cool to see kind of both people on the tabletop at once. Yeah, he's always been super friendly and super supportive. All right, I cleaned off my 3 pieces. Now to glue my last tank trap together. Not a bad stream. Like I said, we finished up a whole bunch of craters, and we built 5 tank traps. Well, 6 if you count our prototype one that was too small. Now I just need to spray prime these things black and glue them down, and they'll be done. Then add a whole bunch of trees, some more shrubbery, and I'll have a whole massive terrain piece done. I said I love these streams. I love chatting with you guys, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm so lucky because I get to pass the time literally just chatting while I'm absolutely tearing through my my pile of shame. If you guys saw how many models I built and painted in just these 27 episodes, it is insane. It's glorious because I'm literally cleaning through this like closet full of models I have in boxes never been built. I'm literally just tearing through these things. It's so cool to see. I'm catching up on my terrain, catching up on my models. I haven't been painting because I'm waiting for the painting event to start. So on December 1st is when the painting event starts. So once that hits next month, December 1st, you'll start seeing a lot more painting. Next show will be tomorrow at 2 a.m. Eastern. So that'll be 11 p.m. your time. Well, I'm glad they're there for you, Matthew. Hopefully next stream though, and you'll have to let me know. Next stream it may be different music. I may finally have enough of my songs finished where you'll have some different background music. Yeah, so next show we'll be building a half track. And then probably after that we'll probably be building, I don't know, probably some riflemen. I don't always want to, even though I need to catch up my terrain, I don't want to just do like 2 days straight of terrain. So it's important not just for the stream, but also for myself so I don't get burned out. So tomorrow will be a half track and then probably some infantry. Nice. Oh, shit. And next vid, we're finishing up our last tank trap. I will check that out. I will add it to the other stuff I have copy and pasted in my notepad. I now have stream notes. Thanks, HS. I appreciate it, buddy. I always like hearing about your local group in Alaska, too. Always feel like you guys have cool rules. So I always appreciate you jumping in the chat and let me know, man. Always good chatting with you. And if you're available, no rush. If you're available, I will see you tomorrow. No stress, no rush. I'll be here. But yeah, Matthew, hopefully the next music, it's much more like Tiki surf guitar style. Like Tiki music, so hopefully the music next stream won't be too distracting and still be pretty relaxing. Alright, take it easy, HS. Have a good night. Yeah, I look forward to doing these streams all week. It's nice to catch up on the hobbying and to chat with people. Because crazy stuff happens. Like I said, this one I literally just kind of reached out. I was just happened to be chatting with someone because they wanted me to be a last minute TO, and I wasn't able to do it, sadly. But I appreciate them reaching out. That was super cool. And while talking to the guy who ran the store, I was like, hey, can I do an event? He's like, yeah, sure, man. And he did so much on his side. I greatly appreciated it. It's if you're in Florida, it's the Bearded Browncoats comic store. The guy's super nice. Helped me set up this event and everything, so I'm super excited about that. That was my big thing this week. Oh yeah, no, take it easy. I'm about to say I'll be in the stream here at 6 o'clock. So I got like just about 10 minutes left. So I'm literally just neatening up my area, getting ready for work tomorrow, and then the stream tomorrow. But I appreciate you logging in, man. It was always good chat with you. Yeah, you gotta hit the gym. That's true. See, I'm a guy. I always like working out in the mornings. That way, no matter what happens, I've already got my workout in. You know, that way, in case like, oh, this happens, I can't get working. I always prefer working out in the mornings. At least I generally do rucking. That's now my go-to. As I get older and I'm still out of shape, I just ruck. But I live in Florida, so I can ruck year round. It's perfectly fine. You know, in the summer it can be a little bad, but other than that, it's good weather to ruck. But hey guys, thanks again for a great stream. I put in my story. You guys checked it out, which is super cool. Y'all didn't have to do that, but I greatly appreciate you did. That's really cool. I have my first event coming up, so people are actually gonna see my face, and so Mad Larkin has me terrified, looking for an actual Tiki mask to wear to try and hide my face. I showed you guys a little bit how I trash bash. So I've seen you how to trash bash a fence, and now you can trash bash your own anti-tank traps. Like I said, these are super easy. If you're ever just stuck with nothing to do and you have some of your sprue lying around, you can just cut these bad boys out and get them super built and easy. We worked on some craters, so we got some terrain done, and then tomorrow is going to be a half track and some infantry. I'm pretty excited about that. Thanks, Matthew. I appreciate it, buddy. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And I look forward to seeing your painted spearmen. I'll be watching his Discord to see those, man. Those things look great. Treasure bashing. Well, you don't bash treasure, you keep treasure. You, I dare say, treasure. But with that being said, like I said, it was a great stream. We got a new guy in here. We got the Square Carter Sean. He hung out with us throughout the whole thing. We chatted. Shockingly, we have a very similar background, which absolutely terrifies me. But it was cool to have another person to chat. Like I said, we've had pretty good numbers the whole way through. We chatted the whole time, which is phenomenal. I had some tech issues on mine in the beginning, but you guys were super cool to jump over to my second stream. I really appreciate that. You guys really motivate me to keep streaming, to keep painting on these, so I'll keep going. But for tonight anyways, I hope you guys, if you're going to bed, I hope you guys get the sleep that you deserve. I hope you truly get some really deep REM sleep and get that regenerative sleep that you desperately need. If you guys are headed off to work, well, I hope you have a great day at work. I hope things go by smoothly. I hope there's no unnecessary meetings that easily could have been an email. And ultimately, and completely, I hope you guys stay safe, stay hydrated, and don't forget to relax today, because you're on Tiki time.
Smiles, no war drums, just beach for miles. Ghost park by Tiki lights, shadows dance in tropic nights. Stand beneath where boots once stood, paradise ain't so misunderstood. Lost in waves and hula tunes, tiki drinks and months of moods. Forgot the fight in distant lands, just surf and play with tired hands. Bunkers built from palm and hope, coconuts and crude soap. Imperial dreams fade in sun, warriors turn beach bums. Shine to ocean gods we raise, praying for forgotten days. Sake in the campfire glow, life's a surfboard ebb and flow. Lost in waves and hula tunes, tiki drinks and months of moons. Forgot the fight in distant lands, just surf and play with tired hands. and play with tired hands.